Please, honey. Way down here we have this one. Here's where you get celestalon and celestalite, where the formulas for them are there. You'd have D3 and D2. I didn't bother doing the D1s on. It was just a show. And before I'd ever publish these, fully without having to say, this is just a rough on top, right? I would double check and triple check them all. And that means I have to do the many months of graphs that it takes to get those others perfect, where you can easily see them, and read them. And then perhaps scan them in a computer and let a computer figure all that out. Because you could put this in. Once you've got the system down, you could, well, I couldn't, but somebody who knows how to do computers could do a program on it where you could just plug it in, because it's got the simple, code of here, this means this, or, what does that number come out to be? So there's a lot of potential for finding out things. There's going to be a time when we need to know a bit more about what's supposed to bond with what. I'm not sure why, but they're giving us a kind of like a preschool starter on that one. Next one, please. That was just to remind us this is what we've learned here is the elemental chart. They're missing quite a few, right? We're still trying, this ignore my scribbly notes. These are like, they should have a question mark, because I'm trying to figure out something. There's something to do. If we could figure out what the adjugate is, there'd be one more step. If you could figure out what the invisible bond is, which is that element that is actually holding bonds together over here that has to do with the Adore spin side, you would have to figure that into the equation, but you could actually figure out the atomic numbers of things. But if you just try to take the two substances here, you still don't know how many protons the whole thing has, because for what we're making are compound elements, all right? We're bringing them back into being able to be compound elements. But you wouldn't see the dark side one, and until you do this on the other side, which means you'd have to know the Adore spins, make the whole set of charts for the other side, and then cross-reference the charts. So I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon, but the potential of it is there for anybody who likes math and stuff. So anyway, these elements are the same elements we're talking about, and these elements are, what they are formed from, are the body of the Earth and the solar body, because we get an exchange with the solar wind. There's always an exchange of energy, of particles. And those particles are coming from literally the biofields of everybody on the planet and the planet itself. Next one, please. This is just looking at, this one is in your chart packs, just so you have that one. So you know what, so you see what that is, and you see the step downs. And this is what's missing on the 3 levels. There's going to be a point when we're able to find the missing ones, and and we'll probably do this. I wonder if we're going to try this, and if we'll have the information in yet for next workshop, I'm not sure. But where we start to get the tonal signatures for the things that are missing. And because we have our window open, and over there we're going to open our door, we'll be able to begin singing them back into the water. And that would create larger healings of the water, not only in ourselves, but also with larger places that are surrounded with water. And if you think about water, it's not just like oceans and rivers and stuff. It's in the atmosphere. It's water vapor. There's rain, snow, ice crystals. This planet is full of water. And right now, water is called H2O because that's what it looks like here. It's going to start changing that. Literally, when we start breathing, once our window is open, it will start sending some of the beginnings of this healing right out into the atmosphere. Because right now, everybody else is sending all the poisons out into the atmosphere. So we're going to become just walking healers. And I just find the whole thing fascinating. This was grueling to try to get it to where you could even figure out these, how does this system work? I know it does, I could see it. But once we got it, once they showed me, there's 3 different charts you have to work with to try to say, okay, this is this here, and this is that there, child number what, line number what, right? And it does work. It is a system that you can make the translations. Anyway, next one, please. Oops. This is just to remind us, in simple form, you've got a little one of these in your chart packs. It's on the bottom of the thing that talks about them in more detail. But it's just a list of, this is the process by which materialization occurs. I'll get out of my own way here. It helps to remember this when we do the technique that we're going to do later, because once we get through with the technique, we have set this in motion. All right, this process in motion. And the 22 steps that, I don't know if you have those yet. They didn't hand those out yet, did they? No. Yes? Oh, they're doing it now. Okay. They're not? No, now. Okay, that's all right. Yeah. And that technique will go with the code Okay, the Alaria Rashatan. So they will go, we'll use the Rashatan, Alaria Rashatan with that technique. So this is just to remind us what they are, because once we get to the bottom of that and finished with those 22 steps, this is what gets set in motion. And it's a good time now, since we'll be chatting for a while, if just have a little part of your mind thinking about if you had a desire that you wanted to bring in. You can start small, or you can try to start big, but don't try to heal the world, right? It's try to keep it personal, you know what I mean? And work up to large mass events, okay? But try to think about what that might be, because we're going to go through a technique or two that gets us a little more focused on how to, okay, what if we had the power of manifestation give us back to us right now? What would we do first? What would we want to do? Because you ever get to the point where, I really like that, but do I really want that? What if it's the wrong thing? Is it Christic? Maybe I shouldn't have that. You can just surrender it all, or you just say, I surrender it in the name of the Christ, whatever. You do it, God, please, right? So it gets a bit interesting when you're not sure. If you think you want something, it feels like it's right, but then what if it's not Christic? You're not sure if it's hurting anybody and that kind of stuff. It can be really interesting when you try to formulate Tiwa plates, which are literally thought forms that are held in mind in a pentagonal shape, and they are what we used to seed. And after we seed it up there, all sorts of fascinating things happen as it goes through the system. This particular technique is going to open the window and reset, for the first time, reset the water seed. But it is also the same process that you can use once the window's open to manifest and all sorts of things. Next one, please. So that's just, I'm not going to read them all again. You have that as a little one. At the end of that technique, what this sets in motion is this. I think I need to see over here first, honey. Right? This is the core creation sequence. So when we get to the end of that, what we have started, we have done this, and we've done this. That technique leaves off right here. And that's where you let the thought go, what you see to go. Because why? Because it goes. It goes and builds a spirit body, and then it builds a light body, right? And then it begins to integrate with one little piece of atom consciousness that your intention took with it, because there's a little piece, a little atom of you that or not even a whole atom, just a little spark of you that goes in as the center around which that thought seed grows. And then it integrates fetally, and it starts the same process. It would be a living, breathing thought form. So it's something, you can create a house, you can create a new life, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I'd like to create triplets that were of me, that they could go and do workshops and I could go write books, right? But I try to start reasonable and rational. But it literally sets this in motion, and this is what makes this approach to creation different than all those self-help books you can get out there. The power of mind and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can create with the twisted energies that are running here, and you can force your will on them. You'll get so far, but not hugely far, because you're still going to have the polarized split. You're still being poisoned. It's not changing. The conditions that have taken away the ability to thought manifest in the first place. We are manifesting all the time, but most people are not manifesting with any control over that process. Even the ones that, they can get big and tough and they start. There's another way you can get really powerful in manifesting. It's you can actually be one of the people who decide they're going to do the Merkabahs the other way, and they actually know the difference and they decide they're going to do it anyway. You'll get some manifestation power back as it eats you alive, which it will, and it will take you into black hole fall. But for a while, you can have a good time and maybe get rich and famous and stomp around the planet like you're somebody important and those kind of things. But any type of creation like that, it will be a finite creation, because eventually your creation will eat you. And it's much better to learn the natural process that is involved, because this is an eternal life process. These are things that, one of the things that we're going to try to do too, I think, when we're visualizing, whatever our little small personal creation is that we would like to set in motion and set into the birthing process, there's also a larger one that if we could carry that image together, or that encryption together, and that is about people being able to go over to, slide to Median Earth, to get to Ascension Earth, and to help healing as much as we can while we're here. But let's first just be able to visit. Visit it before you decide you want to move in for sure, that kind of thing. Are there dinosaurs? Those kind of things like you see in those movies to the middle of the earth or whatever, right? So we're going to try to use this opportunity of our healing to send a healing message out to the earth, and it will be sent out through the waters. So we'll play with the waters a bit, I believe, bottles of water, get them to heal us a bit, and because you can drink it after, a little bit of it after. But then you can ask that water if it will communicate with itself. Water can communicate through any substance, because all substance here is made of water base, and it can reach any waters all over the place. It is the most powerful manifesting compound that there is, because it is conscious, living, and alive, but it has been raped of its true power and healing. So if we put in that what was missing, just even temporarily, just a little spark of it, until we won't be able to fully change it until we can change ourselves enough where it holds. But it can send a message out, literally, through the atmosphere, through the planetary grids, and touch anything that still has some crisp spark left in it, and give it an opportunity, pass the healing on. So it's a beginning of that, being able to do that. Eventually, we'll have focus groups, which would be smaller groups that can, I don't know when, it's not going to start this year, because I almost didn't survive tribes. They're once a month, oh my God, plus workshops in between. I thought I was going to die, right, for the exhaustion. But we'll do focus groups, and they can be on different things. You can get a group of people together, 3, 6, 12 people. You can get together and do amazing healings. You can point it at whatever the group would like to do, that kind of thing. If some people want to do psychic work, like helping find missing people, or some people want to go help people that have died and help them, get out of places where they're stuck. Or if you want to help the planetary grid stay stable, and so earthquakes and all of that don't kick up too badly. At some point, we're probably going to have a set of groups that, not quite yet, but need to be trained to be able to actually telepath closely enough with each other where they can sense when something's wrong and that the others are actually engaging, and where we can, wherever we live, can actually sit down where we are and focus on stopping the plates from cracking, right? Because of the omega. So that we're being trained to eventually, those of us who want to, you don't have to, but those of us who feel that kind of commission, that is where this is leading. And a lot of times we would do it through song and dance by that time. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is the cycle that the charts that we use to show what happens. Like down here is when sperm and egg come together, right? Then it sets in motion the Navina cycle, which has the Navena and the Nuvena. This is how Partakai 1 becomes born. By there, Partakai 1 is born. And then this is where Partakai 2 becomes born. And that's when Partakai 2 pushes into the space of Partakai 1, just like a sperm going into an egg. And that's when we get the triad cycle. That's where it starts to become a phase cell, self-generating, sparking phase cell, and that's what goes through to the whole process. This is what happens after conception of a baby. This is what's going to happen after you plant what is called the Jaran. It is called the Jaran seed, and it is going to be planted in the planet, but a very special planet, and we're going to then you don't have to do anything to it. It's set in motion on its own natural impetus. A piece of you, one of your manifestations. We have to be responsible when we create. And you don't create things just like on whims and let me create an elf, and then go send it on its way. Because it will be alive. Our thought forms are alive. They take on atomic structure somewhere, even if it's not in the planes that we see. So there's a whole level of learning how to move with mind in a way that is kind and responsible. Because most people that come to workshops like this are generally kind, all right? They're really not trying to push their will on anybody and that kind of stuff. But sometimes you can inadvertently set things in motion that you didn't mean to, trying to be helpful. It's like, oh, I want to stop that earthquake. Okay, and if you stop that earthquake over there, if it wasn't the right one to stop and that was just a little one that was going to, let some tension out of the earth, you might have one in the middle of New York City that makes the city sink, So you have to, there's a whole level of responsibility that comes with getting back the ability for materialization. And I'm still in the space where I'm going to go, I don't know. Is that good? Is that not good? I don't know if I should. That means I surrender it. I go vertical. Hey, beloveds, just let me know, right? I'll just stay out of it, and I'll say, no, I won't manifest it because I'm afraid to manifest stuff. I would still be, and I trust myself as being a nice person, but there's a space where it's like, it gets really weird when you start to realize. I've had a couple moments where all of a sudden I realized I made something occur, in not anything bad, like not just a conversation with somebody, but like literally, I thought about something, and then it popped out as either an opportunity or as a manifest item. Small stuff, like think of a feather and focus on a feather, and a feather will find you, right? Think of a car. A car will find you. So you have to be specific. If a car was going to find you, you better be specific about what way you want it to find you. You don't want to end up under the wheels, you know what I mean? I want a car, I want a car. Oh, really? Well, when we have to be a bit more specific when we're thinking about what we're desiring to create, because we will set it in motion with these processes. There will be time, because we're progressively doing the healing now, so things aren't just going to like leap out of our face and into the world and come back and get us. It'll be a slower process. But once we do this, I don't know what the time frame's on. Once you send one of these seeds in for its fertilization, and it begins to take on a life of its own because you asked it to. I don't know what the time frames are, how long it takes. They haven't said. They haven't said if you have to like energize it every couple of days or whatever. But it goes into the womb of creation, and just like that's how we got here too. So that's this whole birth chart. It applies to planets, to stars, to the cosmos, and to our little Jaron seeds that we're going to learn to create and learn to plant in these techniques. Next one, please. And after that, after it gets through all this, it births out and it creates a dyad, which is the light body, and that's the point where it starts to birth out into matter. All right, just like that's the point when all of this would take place, from conception or fertilization all the way through until the birth point, right, with the birth of the dyad, and that's when the body has to come out into matter by itself, on its own, right? That the thought forms work that way too when we're seeding thoughts. But I don't know what their gestation period is, as far as we know it's however many 270 days or whatever it is, I think, is supposed to be for a human baby to come out. I don't know how long it is for a human thought to come out, so I'm sure we'll find out more about that eventually. After this, though, what it starts to do is it births out when the dyad births in the core of the light body. Next one, please. Then it goes through a birthday chart, just like we do. It's the same thing that happens with us. You have your seed cycle, your gestation cycle, the body births out, and then it enters these accretion cycles, where it starts drawing in the energy of first the dyad that was born here. This cycle would be about bringing the energy of the dyad in, and then actually, and then the myad births, and then it's bringing in the myad and the monad. The three of those go. I think the three of them. I don't know. I have two charts to say if I'm different. I have to see if it goes, if dyad, myad, and monad go through this bit. Okay, so they're like there because they would grow the soul. So it's actually a structure. When you do this thought form, you're going to grow something that actually has a soul and an oversoul and all of that. And it will have its own natural process of getting to the point, if it finishes all its cycles, it hits its equivalent of the 33rd birthday, because it would be different depending on what quantum. It would probably be much shorter because of the quantum. But when when a manifestation hits what's the equivalent of that 33rd birthday, when it accretes all of its light body, it grows its light body and then accretes it into the matter structure, the next natural thing is it would manifest itself by transfiguration and go back into the return cycles. So just like we do this, going back to source in much longer cycles, even atoms and things would do this as well. The atoms are part of us. We are the source. If you were, let's say, a thought form that somebody created and said, okay, I'm going to go see that there, you are their God because you created them, right? And they would look to you. They would, that little being, a little person, even if it's an element, right? Elements are conscious. It's all consciousness. They would have feeling. They would wonder where their source was, where's mama, where's daddy, that kind of thing. So when we create things, it's important that we take in mind that we are creating a life. We don't want to create Frankensteins that are tortured, And that puts a whole different layer on, well, what do you think about creating then? Sometimes I find with this, because I'm just learning this too, of what the best way to approach that is, instead of saying, okay, I would like to create an apple, right, because I am hungry. Apple, right? No. Sometimes it's qualities. They've had me be using, I was really trying to I've been getting grouchier and grouchier because of the stress of the way the workshops go, and the line is running continually and is waking me up in the middle of the night, and it's like, I'm just getting like exhausted. And not just at workshops, this is going on. We had supposedly 2 months where we didn't have to do anything. Oh, brother, forget it. I got tons of other stuff, and then other things keep coming up, like the house had to be painted and this and that. And there's no breaks, So I've been getting really just like disgusted. It's like, I just want to go to sleep and be gone for a while. You know how in tarot we used to put our bodies for like 6 months and just keep them in suspended animation and go? Well, can I please go? They said, no. Right? But they just say, try this. And they created a triad, and we've talked about triads when we briefly introduced the music stuff that goes with the Illyrian chamber charts. And they said form a trine. Pick 3 qualities that you would like to have right now, just as experience, what you would like to be feeling and experiencing right now. So I thought about it for a minute and said, because I'm like feeling tense and awful in my body, and part of this is because of what you'll see later, because it's all starting to activate in our bodies, and we transmute it faster than it hits other people, so it doesn't hit other people. But I decided peace would be nice, right? Peace would be really good. And I said, I'd like also to have some balance. Balance, yes, like being able to show up at a workshop on time, things like that. But I have to do it with integrity. It's not in a way that hurts other people or is not kind to them, that kind of thing. So they said, well, there you go. You got peace, you got balance, you got integrity. And what do you think they create? I said, I don't know, but I'd like any one of them if I had to pick one, right? And they showed me this image of just like a little Partakai symbol, right? And said, which one do you want on top as your primary tone? I said, which one do you need most? Balance. Balance, please. Right? So I put balance up there, and peace over here, and integrity over here. Kind of like peace was the Partakam, and balance was the Partakai, and integrity was the Partakay. And I didn't realize this, what they were doing, but they taught me how to do this, and they just said, now phase them, go. And they went, and it sparked. And I went, oh, neat. What did you do? And they said, we didn't do it, you did it. Oh, so we're just starting to learn these little processes. You can put 3 qualities that you would like to bring in, qualities of experience, of feeling, before you worry about manifesting objects. You can try to manifest objects if you want to, but try to think of what's behind the object, the feeling that you would like to have, that the object will give you. And sometimes it's the best thing you can do is you have it right now, right? Put yourself in a buy low state to make it into a place where you do have that thing, if it's that important to you, and try to feel it in your atoms. It's the encryption that will set the encryption. The emotional energy is a signature of consciousness, right? And that would probably be at its endoplasmic state. The emotion, you need to be able to feel what you're trying to create. So if you have an object in mind, because you think, the only reason people want objects or other people in their life is because they think that that object or person will give them a feeling that will feel better than where they're at now. You need to encrypt through what encryption speaks. Encryption is the core pattern of endoplasm, emotion. It needs the feeling behind it, and that will connect it down to the things before that. So when you're thinking of what you would like to try to create, try to say, okay, the image is here. Move the image over, say over here, and hang it in your field, and then try to move yourself toward it a little bit, and just feel, what does it feel like? Does it feel warm, cold? Does it have a fuzzy color? And if you can't feel it that way, then kind of go, okay, I'm going to bring it here and hold it in my hands. I have this now. I feel what? Peace, balance, integrity. They were mine. Say you wanted a new car and you're driving, and you have to put yourself behind the wheel, and you're driving down a road that you really want to be on. You're going, oh, it's such a beautiful day. Oh, I just love this car. Smell that new car smell. Ooh, just love it. You really have to learn to put yourself there, right? And then try to pick 3 feelings. 3 qualities of feeling, and try to figure out which one is the most important. And the other 2 you can really put wherever you want, but if one feels more feminine and one more masculine, or one more magnetic and one more electrical, then you can put them in the positions that you would with, electricals and magnetics. And you don't really have, they haven't said you had to put them either way. You can just have 2 on the bottom. But we usually use base tone. If we were looking at it, you'd have the primary tone here, the base tone on the right and the overtone on the left. And they phase together and they make what's called the mu tone or the mua tone, and that strikes the bass tone, and that sets something like the whole birth process in motion if you put it in the right place. Okay, you can do those, and they actually do shift the immediate environment. I felt much better. I used it 3 times, and this whole tension field shifted off me. I was like, wow, that worked. That was simple, right? Like, not complex, didn't have to write LTR grids, till my eyes fell out or anything. It was just like 3 little thingies. It's the using. This is the power of 3 that a lot of like Wiccans and stuff know about, but they don't know why. They just know, you have to say it 3 times and, do this 3 times and that 3 times. This is why. It has to do with striking the tones, the bass tone, the overtone, the resonant tone, and that will create the primary tone that brings those elements into manifestation through your field. So it's going to be interesting as we learn to play with this more, but while we're thinking about what you're going to seed, remember to find the emotional encryption. Try to reduce it down, strip off its layers. Okay, it looks like this, right? Okay, right. Move yourself toward that. Let's say, okay, move the visual off it. Feel it around. Pretend you're seeing blind, right? Pretend you can't see. And you're rubbing on it, right? Energy, rubbing your energy on it. It's as soft as it feel like, and then stop. What does it feel like? There's a way to feel encryption by getting these perceptions out of your way. And most of us stay in a beta brainwave pattern all the time, except when we're sleeping, when we go into theta, and there's not too many variations in between. If you can move the consciousness down a bit, and that's why a lot of times we'll have us slow the breath. We don't have to do that too much anymore. People are pretty good at just going where they need to. But in the early days, we had to do a lot of, now slow the breathing by half. Slow the breathing by half. Because the breathing is what's controlling the frequency of phasing. And right now, phasing is a mess because of the splits in our fields. So it's good to get yourself, you need to get into that state, that peaceful state. And after you leave with this technique, once you do this technique, you will find more and more of this state, because it's actually clearing out the stuff that's in the way of us knowing that state. And that is the state of being able to create consciously from. But in the meantime, even, we can still reach a peaceful state. You use, even peace, balance, and integrity to start. As just first. You can build like a whole song with them. But there's a special way to seed, and it has to do with using the triad configuration to begin with. And then, if you could hear the sound on it, try to feel out the sounds. Like they could take me behind those words, and there would be an inner sound to the word peace. And that would have a feel on it. That's getting closer to the encryption, right? Where you're getting closer to what it's actually about. And that's the feeling that you would want to imprint into what you're trying to create. Not just a hollow image of something because you think you'd like it. You need to find the reason. Sometimes you'll look behind stuff and you'll realize something like, so that's what I'm looking for. When you put yourself in, I feel this, I feel that, I feel free now. Maybe it wasn't the car I needed. You'll get these like insights. Maybe my car was fine and I don't need just another one. Maybe it's a sense of freedom because I'm feeling something, I'm not free for some reason, right? So let's look at freedom as what I actually want, right? Behind every object or person you think you might want or that kind of thing, there is an idea that is trying to be filled behind it. There's a feeling that is trying to be filled. And if you can find what that is and put that as your affirmation in a triad configuration, you will get more results and you will be able to create more quickly and responsibly with energy. So that's the beginning of our learning how to seed. We're going to try that, by the way. We're going to try to do a little seeding thing. We're going to go through these exercises and then we're going to go into the big technique once I'm done up here. But anyway, it sets all of this in motion, and literally we're going to be taught to seed elemental things. What are things anyway? Things aren't really dead. I mean, you can have them dead in terms of they can't breathe anymore, and eventually they'll go back as space dust, but they're still consciousness. They are still conscious. And it requires, if you were a little like hydrogen atom, wouldn't you prefer if somebody asked you if it was okay to bond you to that thing or this thing? I don't think I'd be too happy. I wouldn't be too happy if somebody just kept sticking me to stuff and forcing me into chemical reactions and doing all sorts. Now particle colliding me to see if I can make black holes in a 20-kilometer-long monstrosity. They just started that up from what I heard on the 8th. I forget what it's called. What is that thing called? CERN? The CERN. Yeah. Yeah, particle collider. It's massive. Yeah. Oh, it only creates little black holes, so, right? Like, oh, great, right? You know, they actually have a black hole machine that they have put online, a massive one. I don't know how long it is, but interesting world we're in.
17 miles.
17 miles long? Right. 17-mile long collider, right? Particle collider, to see what they can make happen. Is it what?
Diameter.
It's,
Yes.
this way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's round. How long is it? It's a long thing, though, too, isn't it?
It's a circle.
It's a, like a,
Grandson.
oh my goodness, I was thinking it was long. I've never seen it. It is long? It's not circular? I don't care, whatever it is. It's a particle collider that's just another way to assault nature on this planet. And I wish science would learn some of these things. I'm glad that there are people who care about science, and some scientists and doctors and people that do, have intelligence and degrees in those things that are listening to this, because it can be translated into the things they already know, and they would make better choices. You wouldn't have to do all sorts of things like collide particles if you could learn to ask them to go together, and simply bring them into manifestation. And that is what we're teaching. It's a different type of science. Anyway, next one, please. Now, when we do, there's processes in here. This is an old drawing from when we were doing the crystal body stuff for Cathara 2-3, and this is a teleosphere. We talked about teleospheres there, and the teleospheres are inside of the Tiwa fields, and they're actually inside of the Vibhati cell. So the telea are actually, this is where, once the atoms are created, there are encryptions that would be held, like little screen imprints on here, and the atoms actually organize themselves to come together and bond after they're made by the vortices that happen with the pentagonal spark creation in the Tiwa fields. Then they would step down and through the Vibhati cell, pick up the Vibhati cell encryption, and then come into configuration of whatever was set on the pulse that came out first in the first place, that set it in motion. Because we're going to be doing some things, like if we're sitting at the center of that sphere inside there, this is a sphere, like a huge crystal sphere. And our crystal body grows within it as part of our crystal body structure. But we'll be sending on the lines, both the fire chambers and the Illyrian lines, we'll be sending energy out, like bursts of 12 points. And we'll be sending it out. And whatever we take out will get encrypted in here first. It'll come out here and set in motion. It'll come out here and spike the orons that are on the ends of the Illyrian chambers, and then it'll split the currents, and they'll come back and start the pentagonal thing. And then the pentagonal thing will create vortices, because they start to spin when the sparks pick up speed and heat, and that's when matter forms in the vortices. And then they come back through here, pick up again the encryption that was left by passing the consciousness through it in the first place, and then they form clouds in the areas of the IM spaces that we talked about, those from the one subfrequency band 1 to 3.5 area, they're the IM spaces. And we have IM element, IM body, IM ego, IM God self levels. So after the atoms are made by the pentagonal configuration, the vortices stop spinning, and the thought form steps down into those fields as literally living elements, little atoms of elements. And from there's a whole procedure that they go through after that. But when we create in the technique that we're going to use, we're going to create enough with this particular technique that it will give a coating of natural living elements to the insides of because inside is as if inside each of your layers of your IM spaces, there are these filters that are the calorine fields, and we will start coating them with natural living elements. So it will create a protection field more and more in our own fields for them. And at the end of the exercise, they didn't say you could do this, but I know that once the window is open, any time that you want to draw energy from that, you can simply just breathe up, kind of up and back, as the window comes right about up here, and it's a little bit different height. Some people's will be out there, some people's will be close to your head. It doesn't matter. It's just depending on the size of the fields, and you can draw energy down into it and just go up as if you're bilocating up, and bring a beam of it back and keep the beam turned on. right? So you can really, really begin the process of doing a lot. This technique has so much potential for creating faster results with things than we've ever been able to experience so far. Right, so this is the teliosphere, and I just want you to see that that is connected to it, because this is also connected to something else, and this is part of the problem. You have teliospheres on each level, D1, D2, and D3, and then of course the rest of them, but we're dealing with the density 1 body now. These are connected to a set of mutations, and these are what are holding in the twisted pentagonal code. Next one, please. Now this was a diagram I would have loved to have got done, but actually goes that way. It doesn't really matter, but I feel dyslexic looking at it. This will eventually have lots of words and things and arrows. What you are seeing is, let's say this is our Tiwa fields right here. You have the lower and the higher Tiwa fields, which means this is the boundary of the mental body, right? This was the boundary of the telluric body, and then the D1 body would have been in here. This is the configuration that we're carrying, that the planet is carrying, and we're carrying it now. It is literally that the D3 field was split into and pulled into a biveka, which is the Vesica Pisces thing. Same with the D3, D2, and D1. So our matter is manifesting in through this mess. Right? Instead of having just these lovely spherical circles, we've got this mess. And right now, they're both on the same spin, and it's creating a same spin set. It's an electrical generator where we've been turned inside out, half of us, but only half. They had to keep the top going in the normal direction, but they reversed the spin on the bottom. And that's why, with the activations that are taking place on the omega in the planetary grids, if you ever get strange feelings like across here, where it's like it tries to compact, and it's almost like something's trying to pull your shoulders down to your belly button, and it's from down here. This is this kicking in, because what the omega is doing is accelerating the spin on the bottom one to make it activate more quickly. What that is a particle generator. They've turned us into electrical particle generators. They know we're atom generators, and this mutation was done on purpose. But right now it's activating so strongly in the planetary grids that this is why the beloveds are giving us this technology now, because it will start killing people, and we Azurite people and all sorts of people that even aren't Azurites are very sensitive to frequency, and it will hit them first. If you happen to be people with gate codes, which most people that show up at our workshops have them, that's why they show up, even if they don't know it, as far as codes that go with the stargates. We have a particular, they were designed to try to take us out fast. So we have to, this is why we're being given the opportunity for the healing that's occurring, so we can fight this. This is why I've been having such a hard time with the physical body. And Az has been having it too, but not as much. And I'm glad. I wonder if it's more, if it's more electrical and draws into more magnetic bodies. Because blue flame runs a lot of magnet. I wonder. I don't know, but anyway, it's this configuration, and this is one of the things that this is just a part of something you'll see that has to do with something fascinatingly horrible that this creates in the body and actually manifests in the body as an inorganic system in the body that will be turned back into whatever it naturally was supposed to be once upon a time before the mutation happened. What we will see when these charts are done is each one of these can be taken over. If let's see, these bigger ones here, this one and this one, used to be one circle. That was the D3 field, right? They're actually split, and now they form one down here. It's the lower half of D3, and up here, you got the upper half of D3, right? Same thing with D2. You got the lower half of D2 going here, and the upper half of D2 going here. Lower half of D1, upper half. This is like putting it in a blender. Mixmaster at least was balancing everything. This is creating a mess. If you think of just every time we breathe, we're actually sending emissions out on the fire lines. They're not connecting into the Illyrian lines right now fully because of the mutation, but it's twisting everything. It's creating types of matter that don't organically exist by blending half of this and half of that and half of this and half of that. If you take each one of these over, I didn't have time to do this, but it will show you the bodies, the Brennan bodies, that Ms. Brennan is seeing, and she's a very good seer, and she's right. The structure is there, and she can see how they function and what they do, but she doesn't see what they came from. And because this stuff is in morphogenetic field levels, a lot of it. It's in light body. If you don't have certain things open, you're not going to be able to see those structures in auric fields. Hopefully, with the activation that comes tonight, we should start being able to. We'll watch our psychic senses start to bloom too. Not too fast though. You wouldn't want them all to turn on very fast. But this is the beginning of. Oh, that can be real fun. Ah, Eric. Who brought out the flying monkeys? Right. Right. Yeah, that's what the astral field looks like really these days. There's always something flying. Usually BS. But anyway. So this will eventually show, which planes are forming. Unnatural planes are forming that are literally manifesting. This is our net field, a part of our net field, and I'll show you what it has to do with the pentagonal thing, of what it does to what should be those nice, pretty little long, pointy pentagrams that are sticking out and breathing through the tubes. It does something very different with them. Can we see the next one, please? This is the beginning of seeing the pentagrams. This Sue sent to us from England because it was one of the advertisements on somebody's trip that they're going to walk the grids, to walk the Michael Mary line, to activate this, and they called it, what's really freaky, is the word they used to call it is this word, is what they used on their thing. What amazed me was, especially the timing, because this just happened. I just saw this. Can we see down the bottom here, hon? This is the word that they had given me, our guys, as far as the treaty that had been made with the Tothians. Remember I told you that some of the Greens were coming back in? Look at how close that is. That's Albanian. And that was Albion? Yeah, I mean, right. And this just happens to be exactly, boy, they saved me a lot of work to find out exactly where the twists were. Because this is the caduceus as it goes in the body, right? Oh, just wait, it gets really bad when you see where it goes in the organs. Right. This is what it does to the fields, right? The original, like our actually tone lines right now are all running that stuff. They're supposed to be running spirit body energy and not reversed electricals, but they turned the bottom onto electrical spin so it would go in the opposite direction and create a magnetic field. But this is a harness field. And these are the things. This is considered a good thing by certain people, right? The Tothians are teaching that this stuff is okay. The Metatronic people are teaching you to do this and activate this stuff in your body. It's really disgusting what they're lying to people, and they're hurting people. And I'm getting angry about it, actually. I'm just like, just want to get out there and say, I invite you to have a conversation publicly and see who will show up. Because they used to terrorize us, insult us all the time and put out bad posts about us and make up stuff about us so people wouldn't come to workshops and stuff like that. And we never took them out. We never named the teachers or anything like that. But if these teachers are really teaching people, well, you think they might at least want to consider what is being shown here. We have so much proof that all of the teachings that they are showing, what they do in the field and what they show. So I don't know, but this is what we're going to change in our fields tonight. This, yeah. We had talked about it in more gentle terms when we had said, how we have 5 fingers, right, on each side, and we learned in the lotus healing that we should have a thumb on, like over here. We were supposed to have 6 fingers and 6 toes because we're supposed to have 12 flows, right, in the axiotonals. And instead we have the 11 and 12 are wrapped up around the middle. This is what the wrap looks like. All right, that is our 11th and 12th axiotonal line, and actually a fire line that has been literally wound around to form our harness. There's all sorts of seals in here that control the chakras. These control the flows of the chakras, so they're not natural flows anymore. Let me see the next one, please. I didn't get a chance to clean this up, but these are the 2 pentagrams. This one's upside down. It's horrible. Like normally that would be over our heads, right? what it does is when you take these lines out to the teliosphere of the D3 level, it's certain ones it interfaces, and it's actually sucking energy off the. I think there's a couple. I have not done with it. It might be a couple that even are trying to suck energy off the Allurian chamber lines, but some of them are definitely lining up and like at weird angles. When you take this like over to here and this one over to here, they're trying to pull energy off of the natural structures of the Ajay body, and they're trying to literally suck the energy. And this is happening to the planet too, and this is being held in place with the caduceus thing. The caduceus thing is really horrible. Can we see the next one, please? On the outside of the teliosphere, it does all these daisy of death patterns, where it literally runs the daisy of death in your entire, entire teliosphere. So you're getting beamed in. It's getting literally your atoms are manifesting as Metatronic atoms. Another one, please. Don't like to leave that up very long. Yeah, let's put the other one first. It shows more, and then we'll get back to that. And Az found these for me, and I was very glad. I'd rather, the other one. Can we do the other one first? Upside down. Here we go. Yeah, there's one that shows organs. There we go. Now, this little apparatus here, the vagus nerve. We all got one. I don't know a lot about it, but it is the physical manifestation of the thingy, of the caduceus thing. It is like a living organ, Metatronic organ, and we all have one. That doesn't belong in our biology. When they told me that, I go, oh my God! I felt like I had I was in like one of those horror movies. You know how you see where there's like nasty thing crawling up the spine on the inside, trying to That's just what I felt like. Yuck. Yeah. I would actually. We have time, right? We're doing all right. Okay. Now, there's a natural process that's supposed to happen that we've talked about in those stages of progression into materialization that go right through the body. And they start at the Azare area, which is down here someplace. You got thyroid up here, so it would probably be down here. I didn't draw this one. This was just one that Az found, and I haven't even analyzed it yet. But somewhere up around the thyroid area, and down in here you would have where the Azare is. Right. And, wait a minute, I'm getting incoming. Not bad this time. They wanted to say something. I'm going to tell them about the spleen duct in a minute. I was getting there. All right, told them about the spleen duct first. Okay, this story of my life. This is how I talk to myself all the time, because they're always talking to me. So it's like, anyway, there is a duct here. That duct number 3. It's actually in the spleen. This is the place where you have endoplasm coming, which is the endoplasm, which is the liquid one carrying emotion, moving up and heating till it hits a spark point, and it's that spark point that makes it turn into thermoplasm, that is thought, right? So it's where emotion turns to thought, and then it rides a certain set of what used to be natural networks that go up and take it into the brain and out into duct 4. That would be the duct 4 out here. But there used to be a natural set of nerve networks that were ours that didn't look like this and didn't run like this. This is manifesting because of the caduceus, and it is blocking that ability. So thought turns into something else. It still makes part of it makes its way up, so we're still sort of aware, sort of conscious, but it convolutes the rest. And I'm just learning about this. But this, with the activations of Omega that are taking place now, they're accelerating the spin on that bottom sphere, on that bottom pentagram, the twisted pentagram, in order to accelerate the process of killing the human body by using this system, the vagus nerve. And it goes all the way up into the head and I think up into the nose area. And Az is going to read a little bit about what he's found that it does, and he'll quote the sources that it was from. But some interesting research has been done on what this nerve system is about. and he's going to read some that he found, credible. So I will hand that over to him. So you just get an idea of what does the vagus nerve do anyway, because that's what I said. What does it do? And I said, I don't know. And they said, wait and see. Az knows about that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, what it connects to on top. Yeah. Oh no. I remember that our natural triangulation. I can never remember the name of that. Yeah, it connects to all of these things. And we have a natural structure that's supposed to be in there. This is what we used to be. They harnessed our whole psychic network, actually, as well as our manifestation ability. But these are the areas of the brain that it's like connecting into. I guess the eyes, the pineal, the whole bit. It's mind control manifesting itself right inside our body. And what's nice is when it's also, since it's there, I mean, personally, I was like, get it off, cut my spine open, do what you need to do, pull it out, get it off me, right? Or I'm going to leave. Right, that was my first reaction. I was just so grossed out by it. I just thought it was horrible. It's not even organic? No, it wasn't there in the first place. And it's not even like a slight mutation of something that did used to be there. It's completely a growth that should not have been there. There was something else that it ate and used that as fuel. Yeah. I wonder if it made me wonder if our appendix really had a purpose after all once upon a time, and that's on the way out too because of things like this. So what's going to be nice about it though is with the technique that we are going to do, it is going to let loose the caduceus, which means our natural flows, and once we get that water seed back, that will start to take over control of that organ now that it's part of our bodies. It will bring it into a Christic function of some sort, and it will allow us to be able to interface and transmute the energies that are being sent in to harm us. So this is where it will actually transmute it into a protection field. As it's pulling in the currents that are meant to keep the reversals in, we're going to turn it back so it pushes them back out again and send us nice protection fields out every time we do it. So we're going to reclaim whatever it was. I don't even like the name. There's something about it that I never even liked the name of it, and I didn't know why. Now I know why. But it is a literal manifestation, a physical manifestation in the body of the caduceus flows of that used to be our 11 and 12 fire chambers. So this is a huge mutation. I'll give this to Az now so he can read this to you. Some fascinating stuff about what has been discovered and what is thought this is about, and it's from metaphysical as well as not just physical.
Comment. You just don't make those people
I'm eating it here for some reason.
You're in the what?
I'm still there for a minute because you read that to me. All right? I'll do it that way.
This is a bit tricky because I'm not going to make a bridge between what Ashley just said and what this is talking about. Okay, that's one point. The second point is, and we both respect the protocol of quoting other people's work. So I should first say that this is selected elements from the work of some of you may have heard of, called Dr. Douglas Baker, Esoteric Anatomy. I'm not saying this in a critical way. It's evident that this is a two-headed person. It's important that you remember that. I've said so because, no, I'm not being rude. This man was a prominent surgeon. Okay? He was a neurosurgeon, and a very good one. The other part of his interest, I would just simply say in passing, was very much connected with the Theosophical Society. And if I offer my personal interpretation of where that leads, then we're heading towards the Great White Brotherhood as well. Okay? Now, when Ash refers to the caduceus, and we have all had pause in our lives to reflect on stuff we believed, then just try and bear a few comments of my own, my personal opinion, stated publicly. We're honouring the copyright. I don't know whether Douglas Baker is still alive. The copyright dates back to 1976, and he was of mature years through that period when he was writing quite a lot. But what do things sound like when we start to open the idea of the caduceus, its implications, the way that we look at things, and the paradigms that exist in the wider world that some of us have touched on briefly before moving on unspeakably quickly? I did. The tens, so bear those things in mind. You're going to put this together yourselves, all right? And I'm leaving out a lot of the theosophical GWB stuff, so I'm trying to be very fair, okay, in the way I read this. I'm certainly not reading it to prop up our perspective, for sure. So I've cut it as hard as I can, but there's some interesting stuff here. So medical comment, I would say, is better than 90% accurate, I would expect, from a neurosurgeon. Interpretations are very interesting. The 10th cranial nerve is called the vagus nerve. The name arose through the diffuse nature of its many parts. Anatomists could not trace its many fibers to their ultimate connections. And still, to this day, not all of the nerve's ramifications have been located. Now, there's some medical people in the room, I don't know whether they'd agree, but people don't quite understand why the hell it's there anyway, or what it really does. However, Dr. Baker is hoping to explain. There are not more than 10 structures in physical substance which are of great esoteric significance. Of these, the vagus nerve must be one of the most important. It is said to hold the physiological key to superconscious experience. It is... I'll stop now. You got it. You've all graduated. Okay. What the latter are to the solar logos. The vagus nerve is said to be the indwelling entity of a human body, i.e., the soul. The cells that make up the vagus have, like other cells of the body, minor lives in occupation. It's a funny expression. Unlike other cells, however, these minor lives, which express themselves through the vagus tissue, are not involuting, they are evolving. Now, here is a comment made by a person who thinks that coming into the world of, forms of dedication which are rather like the form of the reference to the chela, you know, the probationary, spiritually enlightened person who has come to understand that the master is ready to instruct said disciple. Okay, and that's the kind of context this is being said in. These are evolving. The elements of body tissue are related to the luna pitris. What's that? Hez or Georgie, can you tell us what is the luna pitris? No, I don't either. So anyway, it's related to something called the luna pitris. It could be a bit of a cosmic joke. To them, progressive immersion in material of denser and grosser structure constitutes spiritual development. Now, what is being said here essentially is that the elementals enjoy as being bad. It's rather disrespectful, don't you think? It isn't entirely untrue, but it's a bit of a twist. Any expressions of rage or loss of temper or of emotional instability in the human host represent experiences of spiritual quality to such elementals. What? It should give us pause on occasion of emotional effusion to ponder on who at those times controls the body. That's not a bad comment. Well, it isn't, actually. It's a fair comment. But he doesn't really realize what he's saying and why he's saying that. Anyway, equally so on other occasions, for instance, in deep meditation, one could pose the same question, and hopefully the answer in the latter instance is the higher self. I thought so, you laugh. Anyway, this is still serious stuff. Vagus tissue is different. Solar devas make up the indwelling host of these nerve cells. They are responsive to solar fire, whereas other cells respond to the energy of the fire by friction. Okay? The vagus nerve is an outpost of solar fire. When this is projected into the human aura, it is these cells, more than any other, which have the capacity to pass the fire down into the physical tissues, transmuting through this splinter of divine alchemical gold What webs they weave. It is truly said that every disciple must rebuild his physical temple so the overshadowing Lord, the human soul or overself, may dwell therein increasingly. Many are the disciples which aspirants undertake with this in view: vegetarianism, abstinence, celibacy, boredom. Oh, sorry. A very few take heed of disciples that excite or stimulate the vagus nerve. Okay? So I'm in no danger of stimulating mine.
All right. In a very different direction.
I'm just going through my crossed out bits now. The vagus nerve opposes the sympathetic nervous system. This is medical comment, really, this bit. And its agent provocateur, astral instability. Okay? Excuse me. I got overexcited then. For this reason alone, it is worth knowing the anatomy and esoteric significance of the 10th cranial nerve. Remember, at the beginning, that is the vagus. The nerve forms the major part of the parasympathetic nervous system and becomes excessively active when meditation is practiced or when the individual goes to sleep. All men, not women, bear in mind, all men are capable to some degree of extrasensory perception during the sleep state. Hallelujah. Few, however, retain the retention of awareness during sleep for this capacity to be of any use. Continuity of consciousness, 24 hours of every day, brings increasing control and use of the vagus nerve with its psychic side effects. We begin to understand now why the nerve is referred to as a psychic aerial. With solar fire flowing through it, it acts as an antenna for the input of energies from the realms of Atma, Buddhai, and Manas. Rotten fibula liar.
Oh, not them yet, thankfully. Not personally, anyway.
Okay. Oh, just this little bit. In this, the rounded out personality is tested to the hilt, but it relieves pressure on the masters. Bless. He fires others to spiritual effort. He heals, he teaches, he guides, he consoles. He becomes naught but a channel for higher forces. All the time the embryo grows. What physical organ, does he mean which, or what? What physical organ bears the main brunt of these fiery intrusions and assists more than any in turning them to creative use? It must be an organ that will express something of Atma, Buddhai, and Manas as they flow into his head, not hers, of course, heart and throat, opened and secured by the initiator experience when the rod of initiation was applied on the mountaintop. Only one tissue in the human body fulfills its function adequately, and that is the vagus nerve. In highly developed man, notice not woman, in highly developed man, the vagus nerve takes an added functions of an esoteric nature. It attracts through the initiating action of the physical permanent atom material of the highest possible order, but within the limits of the karma of the individual. That is where he dropped the ball.
Yes.
Because he wouldn't be saying any of this. He understood what karma was. Into its structures, which are numerous and ramify in many parts of the body. In initiates, lucky ones, these attracted atoms might even possess highly activated spirillae of the 5th and 6th order, which have qualities identical to the planes of Atma, Buddha, and Manas, and with which they would be in resonance. Hence, absolutely. Hence, the description of the vagus nerve as being the psychic aerial or antenna. All of the parts in the physical vehicle, this nervous tissue would be composed of more of such transformed atoms than any other. Furthermore, the region of the vagus would be the main site in nerve tissue where transformation of atoms of low order, bless them, that's the elemental, you missed the first part, under the stimulus of Fohat. So there we are. Anyway, this is connected with the vitality globule. The vagus nerve is the open sesame for the energy pathways that let into the etheric body the vitality globule. whether it's from the surface of the lungs, from the pores of the skin, from the surface of the skin over the openings to the alta major center in the neck, or from the skin region overlying the spleen, beloved. Okay, that's it. Or from the skin region overlying the spleen, all such pathways of entry are widened in vagal stimulation. Ingress of the vitality globule is less inhibited at the moment of deep inhalation, which results in the stimulation of the vagus nerve. Pressure on one's eyeballs, leading to a slowing of the heart rate, and stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system, and a number of other processes, some of which remain a secret of initiation, all lead to the same results. The esoteric disciplines of pranayama, which incorporate more effective uptake of the vitality globule, aka prana, or chi, its breakdown and the transport of its energies into the nadis and the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna tracts form a sound basis for the physical frame in the long trek to the mountaintop of discipleship. I'll skip that page, skip that page.
He knows a lot about Metatronic science.
Yep. And then finally, I'll skip through this real quick. No, this has not been put forward. I explained who the guy is and what he is. All right.
I respect the guy, but...
So the only part that I think, which accounts to some extent about breathing, meditations and whatnots, is the bit where it says about this little bit here, and all that, till I get out of the way. The origins of the vagus nerve lie behind the narrowing sphenoid bone and the inferior meatus of the nose. The latter lies below the inferior turbinated bone. The turbinates are folds in the lateral walls of the nose. So in other words, it's going up from here, right? Up over, behind the optic chiasm, over the hypothalamus. And then the diagram that Ash was showing shows it picking up here, the medulla. And they talk about the air being inhaled takes a spiraling path as it passes along the turbinates. Thus, a cone of air strikes the posterior wall of the pharynx as it passes through each of the nostrils. The air is moving very rapidly. Its electrical particles have their charges enhanced by the spiraling, which also is consistent with water when it's in its pure form, which does the same thing, or a similar thing. This produces stimulation of the nerve endings of the cranial, those of olfaction, but when breathing patterns associated with the science of pranayama are employed, the stream of electric excitation affects the vagal nuclei of the medulla. And then it just goes on really about various things, but there's one other thing too, just if I can, just a minute. Vagus nerve endings are found in the region of the soft palate. Indeed, the uvula, called by some the small tongue at the back of the throat, as a nerve supply from the vagus. When the doctor asks the patient to say ah, he watches the uvula. If it lifts during this pronouncement, then the physician knows the vagus nerve is not damaged. If, however, the uvula pulls to one side, then it means there is damage to one of the two vagus nerves, right or left. The occult significance of this is that the sound made constitutes the opening vowel of the sacred word om or om. The latter directly stimulates the vagus nerve and is used frequently as a preliminary to meditation or for the seating of oneself or some high act of mental focus. In the same way, the sounding of the second vowel of the word produces effects on the pituitary area as the sphenoid sinus resonates to the sound. So this is really just to illustrate how this network of manipulation and the components, if you see that the components that I've tried to touch on by just stripping tons of stuff out of this, how I said what a web is woven of where you have truth, a body of truth, and then the stuff inside of it. We often mention things like that. But I just thought it would be useful to bring the vagus alive, because calling it the caduceus, it's a wicked piece of work. But I don't need to read any more. There's all sorts of things, even about why the vagus are responsible for babies dying soon after birth.
I remember you read me that part somewhere.
Well, you're back.
You can do that if you want
I
to.
don't really.
I remember something about
I
it.
think we made the point, though, actually.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. When they told me about the vagus nerve, I was like, what is that anyway? What does it do? I know little bits about it, but it's there for one, But I didn't know any of that stuff, so I asked Dad, "Do you know anything about it?" He said, he's read some books by Dr. Baker, and it sounds like the man knows a lot about that particular thing, and he knows it within a particular tradition that is teaching to look at it in one way. If they knew the outer structures of the field that it was connecting into, they might have a different view on whether that was a good thing or not. Okay. So now that we have an idea, it's not just this nasty looking thing that's growing in our bodies with us, but it is literally something that is trying to control whole bunches of other functions, including the brain function, even the thing about the soft palate. That has to do with being able to make the sounds, right? It's even trying to control our ability to tone, so perhaps we can't make the sounds, right? Hmm? Yeah. What other diagrams are there? I need somebody up there. There's more though, right? No, on other stuff. Yeah, put something else up and I'll finish my bit on the Vegas. Okay, just one. Yeah. That'll keep me busy while you're in the bathroom. Right. Oh. Hmm? Yeah, try the next one, please. And save that one for later, please. Try the next one then. Yeah. Yeah, that one's cool. Okay. We'll leave that on. This is the beginning of a chart too. But I want to finish up on the thing about the vagus. When I went outside, the beloveds said, "Come here, I want to talk to you." So I went and I was listening to them, and they said, what we're going to do is the vagus nerve interfaces directly with all of the inorganic structures that are in the field. It is running them directly into the body. And it connects in through the ego, or the epigenetic overlay, and is a direct interface between what should be the natural processes. We get hijacked at the spleen, where the process by which the endoplasm coming up from duct 2, which is in the coccyx, coming up, it can't heat enough to spark, because it gets hot enough where it sparks, where emotion becomes notion, and then sparks to become thought, right? That process is hijacked. We get a little bit of thought, and this organ processes those impulses differently. There was a natural structure there once that was the physical manifestation of being able to do the natural solar symbiosis, breathing, and creation process. So what we can do, this is not a mutation you can just snap your fingers and it's gone. It's literally physically manifest all over in the body, but that is carrying it. But what we can do, because with the technique that we're going to do, this is going to be the first group of people who on the planet who have had this done since Atlantis probably, or maybe even before. But that particular mutated organ can be turned around to a positive function with these particular technologies. The ones that were earlier on the light body and stuff, they couldn't do anything about that. But these particular ones, because now we're going literally into the entire pre-matter sequence, we can bring these energies are strong enough because we're using the Ajay body structures. We will be able to reprogram it to do what it like to do. Well, not quite as good as the organ that used to be there, but eventually we can grow a new one. It won't be while we're here that we would grow a new one inside, but we can use this one in a different way and change the way the currents work in it and get it actually to facilitate what it took away. And that is the ability to follow the duct system so the natural processes can come back. And the beloveds are helping us to do this. But this will be the first group that has ever had this done since Atlantean times. And it means that the snakes will unwrap. And what we will begin, we will be the first, really? Okay, I didn't know if that was going to happen here. We'll be the first groups to have, that there's a shield expansion that happens. Because right now, if you think of the horizontal shields that we stand on, right, that have a horizontal version of the Illyrian chambers and the fire chambers. And if you yanked two of those fire lines out and pulled them up, it would actually contract the shield, right, and make it smaller. Well, what the activation tonight is going to do, it's going to literally loosen the caduceus, let the caduceus go. That caduceus was ours. That was our 10th and 11th, our 11th and 12th axiotonal lines. And the axiotonal lines run the frequencies of the Illyrian chambers, and the fire chambers run their frequencies are run through the meridian line system. So we are going to be able to get back our natural processes, and that will make changes in the way that organ behaves. It'll still be connected to what it's connected to, but it will begin to be able to bring healing into there once we have the spark back, it's the liquid spark, once we have our water seed back. It will start to run the sequences of the water seed, and that It is the first step in actually taking on what was holding the biological mutation in the body. And it's primarily that. There's lots of the structures around the body and some other ones that aren't in the telluric level and this level matter, but that is literally a manifest organ that is holding. It was made to turn us all into Metatronic systems. And that, it's funny, there's a lot of teachings. I've not found any teachings that don't support these type of things about not just vagus nerve, but they're teaching reverse Merkaba, they're teaching all sorts of stuff that we've painstakingly picked through. The beloveds have shown us, like, look, this is what this is. Look, this is how it works. And this will be an amazing beginning of healing, because if we can get this done, which we will, and the more you use that technique, by the way, you don't have to live and breathe on it every day or anything. It's 22 steps, takes a while, but it is something that the more you use that process, the more it energizes the system, the more it will recode the vagus nerve, and it recodes the vagus nerve through the epigenetic overlay, right? They have a communication system between the epigenetic overlay and the vagus nerve system. This is what they're telling me right now. I didn't know that. And this is what's controlling the entire process of not being able to manufacture hydrolase in the body. So we're going to get a boost because the beloveds, there's an activation set going down during this workshop period that, on the planetary level, that they are beginning to open this potential in small portions of the Earth grids. They can't do it in the whole Earth seed atom or anything, but they can do it a bit through the host line that is still holding Earth seed atom and prana seed open, which is the Ancenstacia passage. So this is I don't know what this is going to feel like, except it's going to be a relief, and I know that. I started a little bit of the frequencies. I still have my caduceus in there. I know it's in there, and that's why I actually that's part of what has been activating as they're activating Omega. It starts transmitting more and more of that frequency through the body, and it'll kill the body system if that's the program being run through the Omega system, which is the program being run at the moment. So this particular technique, when you take it home, that's why the beloveds wanted it typeset, and not just like where I do my little scribbly things that nobody can read but me. So you could have it and work with it, because it will help to heal the epigenetic overlay more and more. The more you bring it in, the more it will help that, and the more that will help to recircuit the way that the vagus nerve works in terms of what it is doing in the field. It will be progressively plugged in to the natural field structures through the window, and the window that we're going to create, the pentagonal window going into the Tiwa fields, and that will allow it to become under the influence progressively of the molecular flows of the crystal that are coming from the crystal and the atomic flows from the crystal. And then it will do what it does, which is generate field. It actually hijacked, that nerve hijacked, I'm getting this now, it had hijacked the natural process that we had learned about how consciousness turns into, progressive into matter through the body. It hijacked that, and we're going to hijack it back. And so it can function to do that. It won't do it as well as when we eventually regrow our own natural organ that used to be there, but it will work well enough to get us through the mutation so we can begin hydrolase conversion in the body, which means we can begin solar symbiosis. And once we can do that, we can share it. Our fields will actually share it with the planet. So that's why they wanted us to look at the spleen, and I knew that it was about the spleen, because whenever there'd be certain high-level frequency lines that would come through that were good stuff, but my body would crash. I feel like I was getting stabbed in the side all the time, and it was really painful. Sometimes when we were younger, when Katie was in the body, it would hit her so bad that she would just have to curl up somewhere and she'd go completely gray. And there was never anything medically wrong, right? It was a major target, like a place that was used for astral attack and all of that kind of thing. So this is where we'll start to get our immunity. This is actually going to be the internal machine that will generate from whatever the negative that's trying to come in from the fields to hurt us. It will be coded to turn that back around and create a crystalline field that blocks what is trying to harm, and it will turn it back around so it becomes useful energy that can circulate through. So it will and I don't know what the time frame on this is, but they're going to assist us, and this technique is going to assist us in recoding the vagus nerve to do what the old apparatus we used to have was supposed to, which means it'll help turn on the psychic senses back in a natural way, and it will help to heal the mutation that it has actually been helping to cause. So that's that level of it, of understanding the vagus connection. This is going to be very interesting. This is a beginning of seeing, I'm not sure if we're going to be introducing these in Virginia Beach or if we're going to be introducing them in St. Kitts. I'm not sure which. But this is the beginning of a chart that goes with several other ones that they use some of the illustrations of what to do with your hands and stuff like in the healing manuals, the Kathara books. But there's a fascinating system that they just started to show me, where the code that you have, that you were given one of, we're going to use that tonight as a hand inhale, like we did in the Kathara 2-3. If you haven't had Kathara 2-3, there's a process by which you pick up a code. You inhale it in, and you actually pick up its radiation signature on your hands, and you can use codes for healing and stuff like that. We're going to do a version of that tonight in playing with this after we do the window thing, to begin learning how to heal the water and to feel the consciousness. So we'll walk through with that, then. But where this is going is not only having a hand chart, like this is small, it's like hand size. There's the usual way that you can inhale the imprint in, except they do it double-handed on this one for some reason. You use double hands this way and then double hands the other way. You pull them in on both sides. But each of these, this is where it gets fascinating. The little versions are the same thing, right? But remember how this has that one highlighted axiotonal, or whatever you want to call it, Allurian chamber. I keep saying those together because I call them A's, whatever, because they run the same frequencies. This is in different positions, right, in every one of these. See? This is in the 1 position, there's in the 2, 3, all the way to 12, right? So it's on the rotations. Now, inside of each one of these, there's going to be, which I didn't have time to do, there's going to be the letter that corresponds to that particular one of the 12 on the bottom, the 12 elements, the 12 primary elements, hydrogen, helium, et cetera, going across the bottom on that one chart. It will have the primary element in each one. There will be tone sets that go, tones, or like how you'd say that letter if you saw it, like in our alphabet, if you have an A and you go, oh, that's A, and teach little kids A, right? Well, these have certain tones to them too. They'll have the tones, and it will have the activation tone, which is the one that we just used, the mata thing. But what's fascinating about this is this is meant to be where we can actually directly heal, like give or directly assist in healing. If you do client sessions or anything like that, or even on ourselves or our loved ones. I don't know the finger positions yet, but after you pick up this and you have that imprint there, these are used on the fingers. And you can actually say, okay, if you have, say you want to heal water, right, and you know that its natural code is H2O2He3 on D3, and then whatever that translates into on D2, right, and we give some basic code things, you would be able to pick up, all right, where's hydrogen, where's oxygen, right, because each one of these represents the whole span of the element and all of its 12 children, right? So remember that each like hydrogen, if you took the line up, that would be all of its 12 children going on the vertical. One of those would equal that. That would be the one for hydrogen. And it would carry that whole code because of the key code that would be in the middle, which is the letter that goes with that line, right? You pick them up on the fingers. And you could do like playing piano almost. You would be able to pick up certain ones if you wanted to. For water, it would be probably the simple one, but there would be other complex ones. And once you've got them, there would be, I think there's certain fingers that you would use for certain ones. And you can directly work on the axiotonal lines in the body for yourself or for someone else, where you sit there with your own feet. You know what I mean? Like, you fix the it'll accelerate the process of clearing the vagus out, clearing the epigenetic overlay, because you're literally sending the direct symbols in the language of the elementals, the natural language. You're sending it back in to the body axiotonal lines, and the axiotonal lines are supposed to run the prana, and they haven't been running prana because of the mutation. So it'll be a very powerful aspect aspect, and this is just the first level of where they're going with this. I mean, eventually water is going to be involved too. They even said that they're going to show us designs to build some spa tubs that would be used for therapeutic purposes and those kind of things. So where we really get to use the water and those kind of things with knowing the technologies. But this, I found this really exciting, where we could literally, and these are small, like on the chart, they're small, they're finger size, and you would energize this. But to use this, you would need to have your window open. Right, the window that we're going to open tonight, and then it would get more powerful once you have the door open, which we're doing in the next workshop. And it's just the beginning of an amazing healing system, because I just got a picture playing with balls in the air. Oh, cool. Oh, neat. I don't know where this goes, but I just saw Ma actually standing there, and he was giving me a demonstration, right, of not just like for fixing axiotonal lines in your body and stuff. It's great for grid work too, I'm sure, but he was going like this. You know how jugglers do things where the balls are going between their fingers? I can't do that, but they have like a ball and it goes between their fingers. He was just kind of moving his hand like that, but he had these balls that were about this far up over the tips of his fingers, and he was going like this, and they were making sounds like chimes. And there's ways to activate them and manifest with them. And, oh, neat. I just got chills all over my arm. I didn't even touch him. Well, actually, I did touch one. Oh, neat. Anyway, this is the beginning of how we're going to use the technologies. Tonight, at the end, after we do the big thing and activate the window and all of that, we're going to do the palm thing on the one sets where you needed to have one with you, plus we wanted you to have it to take home to play with. What's nice about these is you can't really get them in reverse. Like as far as these you can, because you're using them for specifics, but these you really can't reverse them. You can flip it over and it looks the same, which is kind of nice, Like it's not one of, am I sure I have it right? Yes, it's what it is. So we're going to use this with the water tonight, and this is where it's going though, and this will have a music, eventually this will go into the music charts, and there will be songs, and eventually I guess you can probably manifest stuff in the air, I wouldn't doubt. Oh boy, yeah. You just showed me that. And atoms came. Like a vortex happened and atoms came and a butterfly went. Oh, cool. I'm seeing it, right? It's going, see what you have to look forward to someday, right? Oh, neat. Gosh, I forgot about that. It's been so long since I've been home, I forgot about that part. Yeah, there is direct manifestation at some point where people wouldn't see the balls, right? Unless he wanted to and lit them up so you could see what he was doing. But it would just be the magic of hand and spirit through body and manifest things. This is how they make their houses on Median Earth and that kind of thing. They don't go like hack up trees or carve out crystals to go live in these beautiful crystal houses. And most of them are they're like selenite crystal. They're beautiful, at least on the higher levels of Median Earth, just like they are in the Adashis and a lot of other Christic places. They manifest them. They ask the elements if they would like to live with them, right? And create this, and they do. And they can demanifest them in the same way. So there's not like a need for garbage trucks and recyclables and all of that stuff either. It's an amazing, it is such a different type of existence than what we've been, trapped in down here for so many eons. But it is still real. It's not something of science fiction. It's just something this is like science fiction to them. They can't believe, anybody could survive in conditions like this. So anyway, this is the beginning of something probably a lot more than I know about right now. I think the balls were just a little tip-off as far as what you can really do with this. Oh, cool. You just said, imagine putting them on your feet. What could you do with the earth grids, right? Yes. And then imagine what you could do if you really got your systems going with them on your feet and you wanted to walk on the air or the water instead of the ground. Oh, okay, these are powerful. All right. He says, just to give you all a hint, that's what he's saying. I'm repeating what he's saying to me. Oh, boy. Okay, next one, please. I don't know. Which ones we got? I'm getting close to the end. What's that one? Oh, this is a messy one, but it's where we're going to be going back to. I don't have the numbers yet, but they will follow the natural numbers of what the shield should look like. all of the constriction points, except for the natural lotus points that are supposed to be there, that are in the exotonal lines in the body, these are going to begin turning back on. Tonight, we've already started the beginning of turning them back on, but the big thing was getting 11 and 12 out of that mess in the middle of our bodies, and that will happen with this workshop tonight, and that is what will allow us to be able to recode the vagus nerve to work for us instead of against us. But the exotonal lines, the natural ones that should be running, they should be running hydrolase. They will begin the process of pre-hydrolase running. It'll take a while, and then we have to have the activation that comes to open the whatever door it is in there. I forget what it connects to this, to that, to that. It's in the fetal integration part, but that door combines with that window to form powerful currents that will then allow the full runs of the axiotonals. And the healing systems, once we have these things open, we can do a lot of things. Our touch can become very special when we know how to play with the balls and we get them on our fingers and stuff. You don't have to have somebody come for a Kathara session or whatever. You can just touch a loved one or something like that, but touch them with knowing and knowing what you're doing. And you're offering an opportunity. You're not imposing anything. You're just offering it as an energy. And if there's anything in them that wants out, it will help them to connect with that energy. So it's the beginning of the best healing that's hit this planet for eons, actually, and I'm really excited about it. And it's the stuff that's needed for slide, because while our bodies are in this condition, we'll never get them through in a slide. The most we can hope for. There's almost one trump card. It's like, no matter what you do to me, okay, if we don't win this one, if I can't get out, well, I at least can die well. And boy, will I cremate it. I will make sure, right, that kind of thing, just so I can get the birth quantum out, because then, we can be free. So whatever the mutation is doing, and whether you can get walk yourself through a gate with your whole molecular structure, your whole atomic structure right now or not, that's not the most important. What's most important is why you have a body. Hey, let's get it back into hydrolase conversion and function, and then maybe you can. But you don't need to be scared that if you can't, because you can still get out. This activation will make it so if you don't take your body, you will be able to get the rest of you out, your birth quantum out, so you will not be stuck in the incarnational fields here anymore and tethered anymore. It will get the tether out. It will clear the body cell, which is usually something that happens closer to the end of transfiguration of the atomic structure. It will clear those filter programs off that do not belong there. So it's like getting a new lease on life, a new lease on your Vibhati sac filter that will allow your thought forms to start becoming aware, like where we can start telling who are you really, because we get so much feed in from other places with things that run as if they're our emotions, our own thoughts, and they're not even from us. We'll start to be able to feel more of ourselves, like who am I, and you'll feel more of you. So it's a big healing that's coming with this. Next one, please. Is there a next one? Because then we can get the technique. Okay, cool. Alrighty. So I think what I would like to do, well, let me see what time it is, because I want to have plenty of time for that. Okay, we're doing fine then. Alrighty. Now, I just want to look at these for a minute. Before we do the long one, I'm going to do a short break so people can use restrooms and things like that. But I want to see if I can do one of these, or one or two of these first, because these are shorter ones. What do you want to do with this one? Okay. Well, with this first one, okay. If you want to go for a break, you can now. I saw people getting up. Was I confusing? I didn't mean to be confusing. Okay. It looks like there's a lot of people that want to go anyway. All right, why don't we do the break now, and we'll do all of them when we come back all together, okay? 15. Do 15. Yeah. Theoretically, the rest will be more effective. All righty. Hello. Back again. We are in the stretch now. And you know what? Just like we were going to wait till after we did the big one, right, to code the water, I'm looking at the list of the other ones that we're going to, their techniques. I don't have those in writing yet. I'm going to run those live. But everyone except the Tiwa seed, planting the seeds for personal materialization, that one we would need to do before, so you have an idea of, a little clear idea of how to how to create that seed and what to do with it, right? The idea that you want to bring with you, the desire that you would like to bring into that first materialization run that will come with opening the window. I think what we're going to do is we'll just do the Tiva seed one, number 4, first, and then we're going to go into the big one, because I'm feeling the heat's coming in for the big one already, and I have a feeling the others will be more effective experientially once the window's open. I mean, I would think it would be. So we'll do this one, and I just got to go vertical for a second and see what they want, where they want to start with this. Okay. A good beginning for this is, and this is the beginning of figuring out, okay, let's say you have the manifestation ability back, honing in a little bit on how you want to use that, what, you know, on getting and manifesting something you'd like, or materializing something you actually want to happen. One of the big parts is learning to move the layers of the image of it off. Right, and that's, some of these things would help in teaching that as well. That's why they were put first in the program, but I think they will still work more effectively after that. I don't know though. Wait a minute, I'm still debating up there with beloveds, or I'm not debating actually. I'm listening to them debate. They got this side going, "Oh, do the other one? Oh, no, but the wave's coming in now." All right, yeah. Well, if the wave's coming in now, why don't we just do the big one first? Because you need the seed, right? Okay. We can do the seed, and then do the rest, the big one. Okay, we'll do it that way. Anyway, the other things are meant to help develop sensitivities that will help you in learning to materialize better once you have the key, which is the big technique and the window being open and things. Then there are skills to learn in honing that ability. Okay, now that I can, I have more of my power back to do this. What's the best way to do it? The way that they are suggesting, and it is the way that I described before, with forming a triad, and forming the triad of the emotional experiential qualities that you can sense behind the object or event that you're trying to manifest. Try to put yourself into it or with it. If it's an object, close your eyes for a minute. We'll do it this way, and try to downstep a little bit the biorhythms by slowing the breath. And if you do a few slow breaths, it starts to slow down the biorhythms, and the energy moves a little slower, and you can enter that space where feeling comes a little easier instead of thinking on the rational level. And that would be moving toward alpha wave. Now from that space, we're in a little more quiet space. Hold in mind for a moment the thing that you decided was going to be the desire that you could, begin materializing. You'll each have different types of ones. If it is a situation, if it is, say, a healing, if it is an object or whatever, you need to put yourself with it as if that were already there. And you were already with it, and it was already with you. It is already with you. It's with you in idea. And there were a set of ideas that were with you too that has made it so it's not physically being seen by you yet. Now, if we realize we can move behind a little bit, behind the image. If it's a healing, imagine yourself getting up from whatever the condition is and going, oh gosh, my body feels so good. Oh, this feels wonderful. You just really talk to yourself as if you are there, because you are creating the condition of the words that you are putting in, and the words have sound encryptions. So first, try to put yourself there. If it's healing, if it's a house, a car, or a boat, put yourself behind the wheel, in the house. Just feel it. And feel that. But then pull yourself back. Leave it around you if it's a house you're in or something, or You're going, oh, I'm healed. Yes, I feel it. Oh, it's excellent. Then try to see yourself a little bit in the image as if it's on a thin film of mylar or paper. And you're going to move yourself and push your fields through that paper a bit to begin to see, feel, to begin to sense what is actually behind it. So we're going to do this by doing an inhale. Hold for a minute. And then the exhale, we're going to push through that veil. And as we push your field out around you. Just feel yourself like a bubble expanding in all directions, but especially into and through the image. Try to sense beyond the veil of the three-dimensional eyes. You can feel, sense an energy movement or energy pattern. Now, imagine that you are there's a part of your consciousness as conscious air on the other side of that paper or mylar or veil. And imagine you're going to turn that part of yourself back around, just as a cloud of air, and look back at the other side of the paper or veil. And what you're going to see are dots. Try to see them. They will be there. That is what it looks like on the Adori side. What becomes an infrasound pattern here is a dot matrix, three-dimensional dot matrix formed there. If you can't see it, try to sense it. It's like little tiny scalar wave points. They stand still and they just pulse. Eventually we'll be taught how to read those and find all sorts of things in them for more rapid healing. But for now, this is where encryption is read from. And encryption is reading that signature. So if you can move through the veil and then turn yourself as a cloud back around, and then try to move back toward the paper as that cloud, and try to sense, move slowly, and try to sense a feeling. Then move through the dots. Move your consciousness through the dots and back through the veil, and bring your fields back in, closer to your body, on this side of the veil now. By moving through the back side of the encryption from the back door of the Adori side, you'll be able to pick up a heat imprint from it that will be a sound imprint, an infrasound imprint when you come back through. And from that infrasound imprint, you can derive a triad or a trine, 3 points of feeling that resonate with what you just passed through and took an imprint of back with you. Try to sense any emotional feelings about what used to be your image, right? The hologram. Now you're getting to what it really is. It's about feeling. Try to see if feeling can translate into words you know. Simple words. Try the 3 words that fit best of the qualities that having that whole experience will bring to you. Because that is really what you're looking for. It is the feeling that having that whatever. And creating it starts with knowing the feeling. So if you can find that feeling, try to find 3. If you find 1, try to sense it out and find 2 other words that would have something to do with it. Because we're going to use words for this one. You can put images too, but later if you want to on your own, but first do the trine. When you find your 3 words, pick the one that seems to have the most significance emotionally. And then put that on the top of the triangle. And then the 2 others, don't worry about which side you put them on. Just put them down as the feet of the triangle. And you've got yourself a trine phase set. And try to think for a moment, there's one other word that if you brought those 2 things together and all of it, it would give you something. For me, it was when I brought my 3 together and they phased, joy was the outcome that I was actually looking for. The highest of all of them put together. So try to find the word. It doesn't have to be joy. It could be love or peace or healing, Christic healing, whatever word works for you. And once you've got your trine set and you know the outcome that you are aiming for, which is that spark when they come together, that raises all those three up to the next octave, to the next higher level. Once you have those, in a minute we're going to do an inhale and bring them together and phase them together. Okay, and inhale, and when you inhale, pull them together and hold at the top. Imagine them as this big spark burst going off in your head. And when we exhale gently, we're going to bring it down to the azure. And see in the azure that it's become a multicolored sphere of spinning energy. If there are any colors that you sense or see, if you don't see it, it's okay. Sensing it's there is all right too. If it feels like it needs some different colors put into it, add them, intend them. If it's a little too pink or a little too blue, add a little bit of whatever it feels it needs. Because you're adding nuances that the words weren't big enough to translate. And also, try to hear, see if you can hear with the inner hearing, if it has a sound. Try to hear the sound and see if it sounds good to you in the inside, or if it sounds too sharp, too flat, a note you don't like, a hum you don't like. And then kind of breathe inside, breathe energy into it, into the azure, and harmonize it. Does it sound too sharp, flat, too this, too that? Add what it is missing. This is how you fill out your seed. You use all the tools that are available, not just words, not just images. In fact, images from the outside can be the most deceiving. They cloak the best. So now that you've created this, the beginnings of a seed, this is the core of the seed. All right, now that you have that, remember the original image that became the image on the veil. Bring that image down, just move it gently down from your mind and into the seed. And watch the seed go and absorb it. Now we're going to take a contraction breath to, when we inhale, we're going to contract the seed into a very tiny little, very compact little nodule. Because that is going to become the core of the larger seed called the Jaran, which is the seed of the living lotus, actually. And that will come when we plant the seed. Before we plant it, it will be filled out to become a Jaran. So let's do a quick inhale and contract it. Hold to pull it in tight. And then gently. And as your breath releases, it stays small, little tiny speck in the azure. Now, this seed is ready for planting. And the planting takes 22 steps. But it does a lot more than just that as well for you. We will take this into the opening the window. Keep your seed in the azure, and that's where it will be picked up. When we get back from our trip through the window, we will then do the other techniques. Are you going to read this or am I? You going to do this one?
Rest your eyes.
What?
I'd like to rest your eyes.
would like to rest my eyes. My eye muscles are jumping all over. I'm having a hard time reading. That's too much computer time. Alrighty, so before we start this, well, Az is going to read this to you. It has a bit of description on it, as you see. And I'm going to what? This says, and I'm going to hum. I'm going to hum. At certain parts, I'm going to make noise, I guess. Tones, they're going to run them through me. Okay, that's why you're reading it. All right, so when you're in process of this, and in fact, I think maybe, do you want to do a run-through first? It's a lot of steps to do a run-through on. I don't know. Has everybody read that through yet? No? I didn't think so. That was a take-home copy. I'll do the run-through. All right. I'll do the run-through, you do the reading. Okay? I'll do it fast. And if there's anything that seems unclear, I'll just right? Because it's a bummer to have to do that when you're in it already. Okay. So I'm not going to read it all step by step. I'm going to read key steps. And then it'll be read step by step, when we get into the groove. First of all, opening the pentagonal Tiwa window and conscious materialization. It is a technique that does both. And the first time you do it, it is for the purpose of opening that window. And opening that window and finishing the process that is in here will release the caduceus. And it'll kind of go, it'll like two snakes that unwound really fast. It'll flip out and go down and stretch back out in your shield, in your Maharic shield, and expand your shield out. So it'll be real quick. At a certain point, I don't know what point it's going to pop. They didn't say what, but at a certain point, that is going to pop. And that is when the vagus nerve begins its new journey of reawakening in the Christ. Because once that is released, the whole systems the pentagrams will release, and we'll begin to get freedom from these messed up light fields. It won't fix the whole thing completely. We still need to do the body level of it, and there has to be time between them. That's why they spaced them into, I think there's 3 steps to it. But, so this is, when you go home, even if your window's open, that's why we gave it to you, so you could use it to do this it's for materialization. You could, like we just did the thought seed, right, or the desire seed. That is the core of the desire seed, the little spark of an intention that you want to birth into matter. And through this process of running this process, you will be able to plant that seed, and it will literally begin. It will be, by the time you're done, it will be like when Partakai 1 and Partakai 2 intersect, and it will start the seed cycle. And it will grow a spirit body, what the seed you just did. So while it's still in there, kind of send it some love and stuff. You're creating a child. It is a manifestation. It is a manifestation that will become a materialization. And it is living. You're asking living consciousness, your own, parts of your own atomic structure, to manufacture this, to create it. And so to try to feel a rapport with the core of your seed as not just things, but this is neat. I'm not alone in the universe. I got a seed. Yeah. And it's not alone either. It has a creator who remembers that it is conscious, which is nice. Yeah. So, what this does, I'll read key parts, because it'll take too long to read the whole thing and then go back and do the whole thing and then do the other things. Right. The pentagonal window is the passage between the Ajay hydroacoustic body Rasha seed, which is the core of that, the Rasha body prana seed, which is the dark matter body's prana seed, the vertical column and pineal of the matter body. So it connects all of those things together. This technique opens the catharic translation duct 4 at the fontanelle. That's the one that never opened in fetal integration, right? Allowing the mental body ego, or epigenetic overlay, and the body to receive the density 1 Tiwa flows from the density 1 3.5 I am God self fields. And we talked about where they were. They're the high ones of where awareness sparks continually, and that is the field of awareness. That is the space that opened up that one morning when I woke up, and it was just like I was looking down from a very happy review. And it's like, from there, problems don't look like problems. It's like really cool. I just want to float around in it. And, but we're going to learn how to, in this exercise, to bring that space will open and be with us we will bring our God self with us from this point on once we finish this. Okay, and by the way, this is also the same procedure for Tiwa materialization, so it's not just for opening the window. Once the window is open, it is the same procedure you use to plant the seeds of materialization. And let's see, it is also the personal preparation step for what will be the Aquatone Hydroacoustic Level 1 client sessions. We're not going to do a whole client session here, except, well, we're going to start where the first client is the water. And we're going to learn how to, simply induce the Alaria, Rashatan, into the water once we have our own sparks of hydrolase open in the body. And we're just starting to be able to do that. We will have a current running through, and it is being hosted, it's being facilitated. But so this is a technique to hold on to because it has multiple purposes, right? All right, so what we do before, we'll do there's a formalized set of the Rasha Ira Christ Star now. All right, I'm not going to make somebody go to the room because if they feel they want to be here for the meditation. It did bring something to my attention though. This is a very powerful meditation, and we're also up very late and that kind of stuff. If we could just kind of be our brothers and sisters keepers during this, if you get a sense that anything's wrong with somebody next to you, or something, you do need to let us know, even if we'll keep going for the group. As we'll keep going, but maybe that's why they have me on, where I'm going to be toning and stuff, whatever, on occasion during it. So there's somebody that can go and assist if there's any assistance that's needed. So please, if you find anybody like near you, or you see somebody that is having a real distress problem or something's happening physically, please get my attention. I will keep my eyes open and kind of do vigil while Az reads it, okay? Because I don't, this is a big activation. I mean, it's not anybody that has like field company. Their company is not going to be happy about this. Just so you know, right? Like the Not Nice field company. So this is going to give a protection field to you if anything was trying to snatch you or anything, and plus it's just going to give a lot of energy to your body as well. So I hadn't thought of that. I'm glad that, and not glad that happened, but glad that something brought my attention to that. So I could just please ask to everybody, let's be our brothers keepers. If there's a problem, I will, I'll try to scan and stuff while I'm doing whatever they're going to have me do that involves noises. I don't think I'm going to be oinking or mooing, but who knows? Anyway, the heats are coming in. There's a lot of heat with this. As far as this activation, I've been getting like the blasts of it, just little bits, and it's not even started yet. So, yeah. And if you feel anytime, by the way, if you feel at any time that you need to get up and get out to get fresh air or something, you need to do that. All right, you don't have to sit there and suffer until you pass out or something. Seriously, if you need to break it, you got a copy of it. You're still in the field support, so you get the support from the shields here. If your body can't handle it now, be with your body enough to take it where it needs to go, and just let it cool down and calm down and stuff. You're still in the shield, and you will still get, there's about a 3 to 4 day activation level that holds as far as an amplification of each of your personal field by being in the shield, so you have time to go use it at home too. So I don't want you to feel you have to sit there, and you're ready to pass out or anything like that. Okay? Alrighty. Anyway, back to that. I'm going to do a simple paraphrase because I don't want to waste any more time on chattering, because I want to make sure we get through the most important part, and this is the most important part. This is the big one, and I'm so excited about this because, well, especially because I feel like it's been trying to kill me from the inside out since they did the last activation. It's doing horrible stuff. It must be organs or something because it's all puffing and stuff and hurts all the time, and every time I eat, it usually makes me sick in one way or the other and that kind of stuff. So this is not good. And it's like, no, I will not let you get me. I'm not going to let this monster machine eat me alive. So I'm looking forward to this. And I think this is going to give us a lot, give us something that we've been working for all this time, actually. It is the beginning of it anyway, or it's more like the middle, I think. It's just more like the middle. So Anyway, the window is going to be something that opens up back here, and it is shaped like the outside of it's a pentagon, not a pentagram, but a pentagon shape. So if you had a pentagram and you made it a 5-sided figure, right? That is a pentagon. All right, so it's a window that's shaped like a pentagon. And let's see, is there anything else we need to know in here? I'm just trying to go over any words that might need, like, oh, and that's this or that's that. Okay. Okay, there's things in here like where it talks about at one point you merge your golden xeon and silver jari light points within the seed atom. We had talked about those a bit yesterday. I don't even know if I mentioned them today, but the xeon is the mana quantum that is put in at fetal integration, and the jari is the spirit quantum that is put in when fetal integration occurs, and they form two currents that combined with the currents that become the Eron stream and that kind of thing. So there's going to be points, that you'll hear like words like that. So if you hear the xeon, it means the mana. And then just for that, imagine a little spark of like golden light. And for the jari, I think they said silver. I think and it makes the golden silver one current. So there's little words in there like that. If there's words in here that you don't remember what they are or don't feel you've heard them, just follow along with the next, like skip that, don't fixate on that, just skip that and move, because the activation will still move because the group shields is moving. So it will be all right on that. I just want to scan this quick to see if there's anything particularly hairy. Okay, there's a reference or two to making a 12-point pulse, right? Like when this one is exhale firmly from the azure, right? Pushing a 12-point pulse of golden mana light outward from the xeon spark. It's at your azure, figure xeon's in there, don't worry about finding xeon. If you like, what does it look like? It's in there, just means go. And the 12-point spark is you're sending the energy, right, out. When it's a 12-point, you're not just one breath going one direction. It is actually one breath going and going out either the Illyrian chambers or the fire chambers. And it will specify which ones, because sometimes you send a breath out the Illyrians, and another time you send a breath out through the fire chambers. And what happens is they meet at a certain point. The ones in the Illyrians hit the boundaries of the bubble, split, turn back around, and come back down the fire chambers, and they meet in those in the IM bands, and that is featured in here. So this, when you read this at home and play with the steps like slowly with yourself, it'll show you exactly what the manifestation process or the materialization process is. And so I'm not going to go through that over and over on it. I'm just trying to find any things that might sound like, what's that? Didn't hear about that before. Okay, fire chambers, heard about those. Okay, there's references somewhere in here to the orons, to sparking orons. The orons are at the end of the Illyrian chambers. Remember, they're just those little like spark receivers, and they spark back. So when you have orons, you have one on each of the 12 Illyrian lines all around you. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me see. Pale aqua blue, living water. Ooh, it's pale aqua blue, living water. Silver pentagon. Yes, that's cool. There's one part in here that talked about the Kalea chambers, which is what they collectively call all the big chambers. There's somewhere, and I remember one part that we haven't talked about in this time, but we have, in some of the earlier workshops. Yeah, it's in number 11 and 12 deal with it, and it has to do with. It says it reads like this. It says drawing this sparkling atoms from the 3 IM layers simultaneously into the large spinning right and left horizontal rod, right? Vertical staff, and the horizontal front back Bardo Kalea chambers. That set of 3 chambers that form a 6-point directions, like it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 directions that are 3 chambers. They're the real big ones. All right, they're like almost as big as your body. So they're not just the little, rod coming out. They're really big chambers. So they will be used, and you use them all at the same time. So we actually use those to breathe in what we've already created as endoplasmas, atoms in the fields. They are used to bring them in and then do something with them from there. So I think they're the only points that might have seemed a little like, what was that? And by then you're on to the next step and go, oh no, what was that? So I didn't want people to get lost. Endoplasmic cloud, yeah. Okay, I think we're all right. No, I'd like that to be a surprise. I've already mentioned it enough. Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, because it was looking to see the name of it, isn't it called?
So I'm just going to do this sequence right here. I'm just going to do the steps from here.
Yeah, you do it.
Yeah.
The prep, just like that, though.
Yeah. Okay, if you're ready. We'll prepare by running the Rasha Ira Christar now. 3-step inhale, holding at the top of each inhale. So begin with the first Rasha Ira Christar now. Inhale, hold at the top. On the exhale, forcefully push the Christar vehicle out around you. Okay. Now repeat that again, exactly the same. Inhale, hold at the top, Rasha Ira Christar now. Hold at the top. Push the vehicle out around you. Now on the third breath, on the exhale, you'll shift your same size bilocation body to sit up the top of the Azure shield as if your bottom was sitting on a plane where your shoulders are now. So the third breath, inhale and hold. And on the exhale, shift your same size bilocation body to sit up the top of the Azure shield as if your bottom was sitting at shoulder level. Breathe easy for a second and bring to mind. Can you hear me all right? Oh.
I can't.
Okay.
I can't hear you. I'm
What you
sitting
did?
next to you. You're really long.
Okay. Well, you did the breathing good anyway. Not to worry now. Now then, just take a few relaxed breaths and bring back to mind the Tiwa plate image or the intention that you were desiring to manifest a few minutes ago when Ash was talking to you. And in parens here it says, let your first intention be to open the window if you had not done this once before. Inhale slowly and deeply now from your Iyombi. Fill your lungs completely with air and let your tummy expand outward. And imagine that the pale blue-white prana stream emerges into your Azure from your Rasha body and merges with your golden Zeon and silver Jari light points within the seed atom, forming a golden silver one Eon stream of eternal I Am God self-consciousness spiraling within your Azure. While holding the inhale, focus your mind on your desired intention and mentally move the intention into the Azure, filling it with gold and silver light. Exhale slowly into the Azure. Inhale swiftly in a moment, causing the 12-point Eon stream to pop from the Azure into your 12 Alarian chambers. Imagine 12 prana-carrying Eon stream currents expand outward from your Azure into your 12 Illyrian chamber lines, carrying your desire with them as they travel outward into the Asia Hydra acoustic body to spark the aurons at the chamber's end. Well, there's a lot to say in one breath. Now you should be holding at the top of the inhale, so just inhale quickly now and hold, while sensing your aurons sparking as your desire becomes surrounded by a pentagon-shaped Tiwa plate upon intersecting with the orons at the ends of the Alarian chambers. Exhale firmly from the Azare, pushing a 12-point pulse of golden mana light outward from the Xeon spark in your Azare into the 12 light body fire chambers that run between the 12 Alarian chambers. Hold at the bottom of the exhale a moment as the fire chamber mana currents race outward to interface with the refracted split prana chi and ki bhakti currents that are now returning inward into the fire chambers toward your Azare as the mana currents move outward. Sense for a sparking sensation to occur all around your body about 3 inches away from the skin. When you feel the sparking sensation, inhale firmly and imagine the 12 Tiwa vortices are now spinning rapidly, one on each Alarian chamber line in the Tiwa fields in the outer Asia body as your Tiwa plate engages pentagonal transduction for atomization. Now exhale slowly and gently and feel the sensation of the T vortices stopping spin as they each gently release a bubble cloud of gold and silver desired encrypted atoms into the three-dimensional I am accretion bands of the light body. Now just follow this with a few gentle breaths and focus as you do that upon sensing the millions of minute sparkles of atomic light building to form a beautiful sparkling gold and silver blue endoplasmic cloud within the I am bands of your light body. And just breathe with that in mind. Millions of minute sparkles of atomic light building to form a beautiful, sparkling, golden, silver, blue endoplasmic cloud within the I am bands of your light body. And don't do it quite yet, but in a second, once we've all sensed the significant quantum buildup of these 3 layers of ion clouds, then we'll be engaging a firm 6-point inhale, drawing the sparkling atoms from the 3 I am layers simultaneously into the large spinning right to left horizontal rod, vertical staff, and horizontal front back Baidoa Kalea chambers of the spirit body, and then into the Azare. So, firm 6-point inhale, draw the sparkling atoms in from the 3 I am layers into the large spinning rod and the Baidoa Kalea chambers of the spirit body, and then into the Azare. Hold at the top of this breath, this inhale, until you sense the 6 Kalea chambers have slowed in spin and completed their inhale of the atomic cloud. And imagine a small, dense, sparkling endoplasmic atomic cloud accreting around your Azare. Now next, you'll exhale firmly backwards, pushing the sparkling atomic desire cloud horizontally back out the Baidoa chamber with the exhale breath, seeding the cloud into the Jaffa of the spirit body. Release the desire cloud gently into the Jaffa and slowly inhale back to the Azare. And when you've done that, take a few relaxing breaths, releasing the thought of the seeded desire, and clear your mind for a moment, and then try to sense or feel for a vibrating ripple occurring around the outermost skin of your density Asia body as your spirit body prepares to release a 12-point atomic hydrolase living water burst through the Alarian chamber orons and downward into the Alarian chambers. Just spend a few breaths on that, releasing the thought of the seeded desire, sensing for a vibrating ripple occurring around the outermost skin of your density Asia body. As your spirit body releases a 12-point atomic hydrolase living water burst through the orons and downward into the Alarian chambers. Now, on sensing this vibrating ripple, bring a slow, deep inhale into the Azare and hold at the top of the inhale as you feel the soothing 12-point inflow of pale aqua blue living water moving into your Azare. Exhale gently, and then notice what sensations your skin may experience as the waters flow into your etheric body. Breathe in a relaxed manner and then turn your attention towards the window area, upward and just behind your physical head. And notice a sparkling golden silver pentagonal window has opened within your Tiwa field. Continue with relaxed breathing. And observe a beautiful wide beam of golden silver light shining downward from the window to completely cover your head and the back of your shoulders as your personal I Am God Self band opens, surrounding your head with a golden silver halo of light. Now on the next inhale, not quite yet, this is a long paragraph, so I'll read it all before we do it. On the next inhale, we'll be taking this golden silver light down through your duct for fontanelle and downward to your azare, where the golden silver window stream interfaces with the living waters in your azare. You will hold this breath at the top of the inhale to amp and collect the golden silver light and pale aqua blue waters into a tennis ball size Jaron seed sphere at the azare. Once formed, a spark of Jaron will permanently remain at the azare as your endoplasma eternal living water seed through which you enter the world of conscious Christic elemental co-creation. So then, inhale this golden silver light down through your duct for fontanelle and downward to your azare. Intend, if you need to, where the golden silver window stream interfaces with the living waters. Hold at the top of the breath to amp and collect the golden silver light and pale aqua blue waters into a tennis ball size Jaron seed sphere at the azare. Now, exhale firmly downward, using the breath to push the Jaron seed rapidly downward into Earth's Rasha's core. Then give a final exhale, push the Jaron seed into the core of Median Ascension Earth. And in doing so, giving birth to your own conscious Partaki seed. Now just inhale gently back to the azare. Hold the inhale to build charge. And when you feel ready, exhale to release the spark of golden silver light downward into your Jaron seed, sending in the encryption that will create Partaki 2 to set the seeder cycle in motion. And now relax into gentle breathing and lean into the expanded peaceful space of your I Am God Self band by drifting your mental focus a bit upward and backward to that space. The golden silver light beam will fade from shining once the creation is set, but the window will always remain open for future creation. Just spend a few breaths enjoying that sensation.
Alrighty. Now, the part that isn't written in here, this is the manifestation part. The last part is there's going to be the pop when the caduceus snaps, right? And there's actually a series of them. And in all the places in the caduceus thing that was running down the central vertical column, it'll be like little bolts going pop, 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 and the cords going really quick, and they'll just go spiraling back down into your Maharik shield, and then they'll pop out where they need to be. And we'll facilitate this with the breath in a minute. And when they pop out where they need to be, it'll take your natural configuration of the Maharik shield back into the 12 fire chambers instead of the 10 that have been running. Well, our Maharik shields are running all right, but as far as our D1 and our etheric shields, we've had to work through and clear them as much as possible. We've worked with the density Maharik shields, but the little ones that go with each of the dimensional levels, they have some clearing, but they still hold the caduceus. The caduceus still had hold on them. So we're going to release the caduceus, free the snakes. This way. This coming in live. Alrighty, I'm saying, imagine now that a lovely gold and silver big beam of light is coming again down from the window, from your Tilia or your Tiwa window. And inside of it this time, you have the gold on the outside, and it's shaped. The beam actually is shaped like a pentagon. Like a tubular pentagon, if you know what I mean. Like a cookie cutter is a long one, like Play-Doh machines used to be. You could do snakes made with shapes. It's big, long, and it holds the configuration of the pentagon shape. But inside of it, notice now this time, there's way up in the door. Try to see up into the window, back behind you, and notice there's a big aqua blue ball of what looks like liquid, but it doesn't act like liquid. This is hydroplasm. All right, they're going to literally. This is coming in from the host line of the Anastasia passage, intercepting with us here, and this is what will amp this enough to free the snakes. All right, it's like a big, amazing, beautiful bowling ball of liquid light. Hydrolyze, living water. And in a minute, we're going to go up and just send a little push of our consciousness as a cloud up to nudge it, and it's going to come down like a river, and it's going to come down our central vertical column, but it's also going to come in to the heads of the snakes and run the whole snakes. And at that point, it will intercept with the vagus nerve and go out through the entire structure of the vagus nerve and the things that that is connected to. And at that point, there will be little pop, pop, pop sensations as the snake uncoils. And then there will be just a really quick snap, and they'll go down into the ground. They'll go into your shield, and anything that doesn't belong on them will actually fall as vibhuti dust underneath you. Okay, so, and it's going to feel like a lovely just flood of healing waters and beautiful light from your own I am God self-awareness level. Okay, so let's go up together and just as a cloud of energy, just move up into your window with an inhale. And see your cloud moving up the chamber to the window. Just kind of push a little bit and nudge the ball, and then go and exhale down. And then just sit peacefully as the water starts to flow. And just breathe gently. It's coming into the central vertical currents now. All right, now it's starting to expand out. It's actually coming out from around the ears to the caduceus snake heads. And it's starting to run the snake. And it's starting to pass to flood into the vagus nerve. Very strange. It's like there's a thing living in there that is screeching and like, oh no, get off me. Just let the waters move. Okay. Getting ready for the pop point. They're getting ready to like bolts that hold the things in, little implants. Okay. In a minute, we're going to inhale and hold for a minute, and when the pop point comes, let's all push out together, kind of like push outward and downward at the same time. Okay, so let's... Okay, inhale now. Hold for a minute. And push down and out. Oh man. Try to feel like a fibrillation in your shield, your Mahark shield down under your feet, as the axiotonals 11 and 12 are reintegrating into their proper position and actually realigning the entire shield overlay. There was a shield overlay on it that was blocking that. And now feel a pillar of that realignment moving all the way up in two places, all the way up through your shields. They're like the dinner plates that go through your body at various levels, on horizontal, but also up through your central vertical column. Feel this expansion happening in the chakra seals. And you almost might feel like the chakras are going and shifting themselves back into their natural state or closer to natural. Now bring your awareness up into your brain area. And the waters are still flowing from above and also through the body. And we're going to bring a 2-point, one bringing more from down and one bringing more from up of the aqua blue water flows. And we're going to bring them right into the center of the pineal. And that will be on an inhale. And then when we exhale, we're going to blow them out horizontally, out the third eye, front and back. Okay? So, okay, in a minute, let's inhale and draw them into the pineal. Hold, build charge. And out. Blow them horizontally. And also feel the waters as if they're flooding through your brain now. Feel them going up in like your sinuses, clearing your sinuses. Feel filters being pulled off your eyes. Twisted filters. Feel your eyes absorbing from both front and back the liquid light, the liquid water of the hydrolase. Feel it moving through your eyeballs, literally the molecular structure of your eyes. Sense it popping the lenses behind the layers of the pupil that don't belong there, that block the light out in certain ways that you can't receive the hydrolase cellular symbiosis. Just imagine the water is flowing all through your brain, your eyes, your nose. Now bring it into your ears, and into the back of your head where your neck hooks on. You're filling with the living water. It's communicating to every cell in your brain and your head. Imagine your skin. It's coming into your skin, and in the etheric, it's just a pale pretty aqua, like silky covering. And now imagine it going down your neck and down through your shoulders, clearing off all the residual. It's moving, as if it's flowing into the pores and out again through every organ. Any sore spots in your body that you feel, move it, make it flow a bit more. Back and forth, sway it through. Just work it down your spinal column that way and flowing it through your whole body, clearing as you go. Kind of swish it back and forth. At this point, it's expanding to become a large pillar of living light water around you. It's a combination of light and water. Okay, and now we are going to do one more thing. And we are going to, in a minute, take an inhale. And with the inhale, we're going to pull ourselves in to duct 3 at the spleen. And on the exhale, we're going to push from there and grab a line of energy that the vagus nerve is used to tap into the splenic processes and natural processes. And we're going to grab it with the inhale, that nerve ending, and we're going to take a cord from it and go right up to the window, right up, back up the beam of light that's still open, and up into the window. So, in a second, okay, let's inhale. Grab that nerve ending that doesn't belong doing what it's doing. And welcome it back to the crest. For it is Adam's too. And now exhale and up to the window. And in about a second, there's going to be a big electrical spark that comes right down through your whole body and goes out your feet and down through. And that will be when it goes online with the window. Okay. Okay, let's inhale and wait for the spark. Or when the spark comes and once it hits the body, then push it downwards. Okay? So now, just wait for it. We're not bringing it in. We're just waiting for it because it's going to come on its own. Here it comes, okay? Push it down. And push it all the way to where your Jaran seed is down in the core of median earth. There we go. You can continue with the swishing if there's any parts of your body that aren't feeling well. You can also do that when you get back. All you have to do is, get back to your rooms. You can simply ask for the flows to come from the window. And first, the gold and silver one will come as the light beam. And then at its core will come the living water beam. And you can bring that into your body at any time to help your body atoms to heal from what they have been so long trapped in. And it's very, very healing working with the waters, just sloshing them. You literally just feel them going through the pores, through into organs, through the skin, sloshing it gently back and forth at a rhythm that feels right to you. And then when you're done, you simply let them be, and they'll integrate on their own. Like the best medicine in the universe. Okay, we can take a bit of a break from concentrating and stretch a bit if you feel like it. I do. Oh, do you want to stretch? Or I gotta stretch my neck. Is like. In your body, like where it's, there's like a concentration of built up reversal stuff that was, or illness, just imagine it's still swishing through there until it clears out, and you can rub it a little to help. Just like rub the part if it hurts any place to loosen up the energy. It's actually a great time for everybody to give each other back rubs to work it through the system. But yeah, that wouldn't be really practical. That window will stay open now, and so will its connection to the to the fontanelle and to your body. There's a freedom that will come for this, and as far as that level of consciousness, imagine it as the big halo, but it's halo kind of like with a nice veil hanging on the bottom because it comes down over your shoulders too. You can call that light into the halo anytime you want, and just move yourself back in consciousness and breathe it in. And if you want healing for whatever, if stuff's bothering you and you're upset or anything, just breathe it in and ask for the flow of the waters to come. And bring it right down through your whole body. When it does, make it a big wide stream, like a tunnel of water that comes down and clears and heals and takes away anything that's not supposed to be there. This will help when there's any, progressively as we do this also, it will build up more of those sparkly fields. These will become our protection bubbles within the levels of the I can't even talk, the I Am band. Sorry, I'm a bit spacey from that one. It feels good though. It's a good spacey. I just feel like I got much bigger and everything got brighter, which is really neat. So anyway, there's still a little bit left of thingies to do. We've got the mind shifting. This is not a long thing to do, but it's learning how to play with your Chiwa fields, and you can use the window to pull in some of the light current, and the light current first, and then the waters. Hold them at your Azure and hold them in, and then push a bubble of waters out around you, like a sphere, like a beautiful, lovely aquasphere of water, right? And then just relax and sit in it for a minute. Okay, you just breathe normal and relax and sit in it for a minute. And try to make it touch the back of the chair of the person in front of you. Kind of move it forward and nudge it. Feel its connection to your body. It's almost like it wants to pull you into the movement too. Try to feel the molecules of the chair, not the person, but the chair. Let the water, just like it can slosh through your atoms, it can slosh through those atoms too. You can get a feel for understanding all sorts of things. And when it's done through Christic processes of water communicating with water through the Christ, there is no violation. It would not allow you to hurt anyone if you tried to use this to hurt anyone, but will also be protective of you. No one could do stuff to harm you if you brought your bubble up. You can bring up the strength of this flow now whenever you need it. And if you feel frightened or in danger or anything like that, it is a good time to bring the sphere around you. And then there's fun things you can do with it. You can learn to expand and contract it. Once you're inside of it, and it's really pretty. It's like it changes the color of the light to where you can see little like mana rain and hydrolase rain, just gentle little bits moving in the air. But from inside there, you can also make a little sphere of it and put a part of your awareness as a cloud inside and send the little sphere. I've learned to do this with our chinchilla. I have to ask him, you have to ask, and it's an asking that you don't ask in words. You ask in intention. You take those words. Is it okay if I experience, and it's really, is it okay if I love you? Because it creates complete vibrational harmonization with the thing that you're aiming at. But it must be asked first. This is what the waters can do because they are all of the same substance. Atoms are all of the same substance. And it's recognized on that level that we are all one. We all came from the same places. You could never use it to hurt someone or to mind pick them or to seed thoughts in their head or anything like that. It's not, it just won't work with you that way. But if you kind of put the thought, kind of like a little feeling. Like the feeling is, if you were going to say, is it okay if I, chinchilla, is it okay if I just feel what it's like to look out your eyes for a minute, to feel what it's like to be a chinchilla? And if that was what I wanted to say to it verbally, right? There was a like an intonation of how I would have said it, right? That's the feeling behind it. That is getting more into elemental speak, where it's the emotion and the movement and the lilt of the energy. Is it, don't you push stuff at them, you kind of gently ask, and then you wait and get a feel back in return. You start to hear the inner communication, because there's always a communication that takes place between matter. And when we learn to ride the hydrolase wave and play with the sphere, which it allows us to do, because it's kind of like the hydrolase considers us part of it. It doesn't look at it, it looks like, it feels it's bigger and we're like little parts of its entirety, because it is the substance, the first endoplasm consciousness that all matter here forms out of. So it's pretty big. And we're all made out of it too. It's like we are part of it. And so we can learn to gently ask, after asking and getting a little feel in return. And you might get a tidy pullback feeling, and that means no. That means that whatever the being was is not in the mood, doesn't want it. This will also protect you. If the being happens to be possessed by something or something like that, it cannot attach to you. And you would actually be able to get a read on what that was about, and if there's anything you could do to help. Because sometimes there isn't, even with the waters, that sometimes it would be a violation of soul group decisions to force that will. Just because you want to be Christic doesn't mean everybody used the choice of free will that way, and that's okay. You have to let that be okay. And love them anyway. But it's an amazing thing. This happened once when I was much younger, when Katie was in the body, and she flipped. I call it, she flipped into that state, and without having a bubble or anything like that. But she had been sitting in her kitchen looking out the window, and she was on the 3rd floor, and there was a big tree there, and there was a bluebird, and it was just hanging out looking at her. And I think it might have done it to her. I don't know, because I still have the cellular memory of it, even though it was her experience. But all of a sudden she was in the bird, and she could feel how warm its feet felt and how it experienced the tree, and it could feel green blood running in the tree. She experienced what the bird was experiencing, and then it just flipped back. This is the type of thing that you can do consciously in co-creation. You can't use it to force your will on anything. But if you want to try to understand something, and animals are great with that, because most of them are open to being loved. And it is a wave of love in the form of hydrolase, living light, that you are sending to them with simply the intention of, I would like to know you. I would like to understand. And if someone wants to do that, person to person, you're dealing with a bigger field, right? So it's easier to start with things that are you might feel benign toward in the first place, because people tend to have a lot of issues with each other. I wouldn't, if you're a close couple or something, or close friends and close family, you could start doing this with each other. And the way to do it is have one sit very quietly and both put your bubbles up. Like, do these bubbles, do your Christ Star vehicle, but then put the bubbles up too. And if your family hasn't done the techniques, well, you can kind of just put a big bubble up and welcome them into it, and then kind of just do a little bit of energy games. You just move the consciousness toward them. And on some level, if they love you, there will be an agreement. But don't assume that. You have to wait for the back ripple that says, okay, or no, not right now. And you need to respect that, because the water will not actually, you'll push, and the water will not go with you if it's a violation. So you'll push yourself outside the sphere as a cloud, and then you can take on who knows what, and you start doing that. So you need to work that you can't abuse this energy. It won't allow itself to be abused. What happened here, as far as abuse, is it got shut off. But this is like a living love current that comes through, and it comes through as endoplasm, which is the hydrolase living water. So that is, you can learn to expand and contract them. That is what about learning to engage in the Tiwa fields, where you can start moving your consciousness around. And that's just little ways here. Then you can start moving it up and out and asking for directions with some of your, when you're in that state, because you can go up and out through that window and get into the higher states of your own I am God self-mind, right? You can start experiencing from there. Go into your own review bands while you're alive, right? Your natural review bands, and be able to look down and check out what's happening in your world. And maybe if there's something you should do or if there's a problem you want to solve, you can go up there and just kind of leave it there as let it accrete some helpful information and come back and then come back up and find the answer. Sometimes you'll go back up in dream state and you'll find yourself up through the window. I found myself sitting on the window. Like it's like this big crystal sphere with this really neat window in it, and I'm on the inside, and I'm way down in here on the inside, and I end up going up the beam, and I found myself sitting in the window looking outward, like, and swinging my legs, and it was like, wow, it's really high. It was like being in a big spherical building, but up on a really high floor. I don't know what that was about. So there's a lot more that we can do with the windows. There's going to be a time when we are able to open the whole set of them, because there will be a window like that on every one of the Illyrian chambers. And that's when we can start really breathing in the pillars. That's when, if we can bring this much of the hydrolase in with just one little window open, enough to release the caduceus out of the bodies like that. Imagine what can be done when we're able to open the bunch of them. And I have a feeling, that the one that opens the I am element field down on the D1 level, that and the door are going to come, I think, in the next workshop. And then I think it's probably the kits one that they're going to be able to use that and blow the windows open, basically. And what happens after that? I can't wait to find out, actually. I just hope it doesn't come in this hard and this late, as it, they said it will get easier, and maybe this is why. They said it will get progressively easier. And it's like, okay. I was thinking, like now, like yesterday, like last year. No, that's not progressive. That's progressive going backward. So I appreciate that you've been, you're still here and still standing and breathing. And I hope it was worth it. I know it was, and I'm glad that you recognized that it was worth staying for, because this is a beginning of something amazing. Now, we're not done yet. We're still, I mean, you can go if you want to, but we're not done yet. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, we have to do the water. Oh, basically, number 3, I realized I actually did that when we were doing creating the seed before we did the exercise. I tied some of what I was going to teach there into that one. Teaching, acting, reading, and transmitting. Yeah, I did that. The veil thing and all of that, that was going to be part of that. Okay? Sometimes they all blur together into one long, lifelong technique in my world. Because they're just... All right, so that does leave us to the water and to working with our first client session. And our first client is the water that we brought. Don't have to. No. The only thing is, though, if you're trying to code like bottles of water or whatever, metals tend to interfere with the process until you have stronger currents. Like once you get the 12 windows open, I imagine nothing will interfere with the currents, right? But while we're just getting our systems, the plastic is all right. It'll go through that. It'll go through glass. But metals tend to are a little more difficult to pass through. Now somewhere we got our code. Just kind of put your code on your knees so you can pick it up and point the round part, the vector identification point thing, which is that round thing up there. Point that. Which way? Just kind of where it's pointing out. If it's sitting on your lap, where it's that round ball part is pointing out. Yeah. Yeah, like away from your body. The little ball would be away from your body if it's sitting like this. Okay. A minute. Could I have you hold this in a minute? if I have to show them something. Right? 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 I'm not tired yet. Okay. Now, in a minute, yeah, because I'm going to have to demonstrate something. Okay, now, we're going to do the palm induction, where we literally pull the mathematical radiation signature of it onto our palms, as if we're actually picking it up like this, right? As if it was sticky energy, and it was on our palms. Not into our palms, but just on them. But we'll do it this way, and I have to put this down to demonstrate. It needs to be picked up on both palms, and we'll start. It doesn't matter which one you start with, but you do. I'll show you what I mean. Here you go. Can you hold this, please? Please. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to do it. You know, this. No, I'll do it this way. All right. So, and you just inhale. Stick your palm on the code. Feel the fuzziness develop between the code and your palm, and then bring, on the exhale, a flow of the liquid light down, or of the liquid water down, you know, to both light and water. The golden light and the water inside. Put it into the code. And then inhale and bring it up onto the palm like a dish. There you go. And just feel it actually just kind of fans out around your fingers and just hangs there. Neat. I didn't do that before. That's neat. Okay. Yeah, and then we do it with the other one. Okay. So put the hands over. Inhale. Bring the waters down. And then pick her up. This is at the point, by the way, in the healing sessions where, like, when you want to go into the piano keys, when we get to the next stages of those, in the next workshop or the one after, where you would do a similar thing, but you would pick which keys you want it for which purpose, and bring them up too. And then you'd have the big spheres around the hands, but also the spheres within the spheres. And they're going to teach us how to do all sorts of things with those. But for now, we've got the ones on the hands. And now, the water. Let me demonstrate this. Yes, please. Thank you. You want to catch up, and then you can hold it again? Yeah? He's going to catch up, because he's holding the mic for me. That's neat. Neat feeling, isn't it? Yeah. You know, and play with that. See if I can stretch it and stuff, and how big you can make it. But for this one, who needs those, like, Game Boys and stuff when you got this stuff to play with? I like endoplasm better. Okay, now I'm going to see. They don't always want to do it that way. They don't always. That was last night. It's a different situation. So I'm asking them, do they want it bottom up this time? And they're saying, no, this time we'd actually prefer you to shake it first. Okay. All right. Shake your booty. Yeah. Okay. That generates a bit of a charge in the etheric level in it. Moving water. It'll be a new dance. Shake your waters.
already done.
Okay. And they're saying it doesn't matter whether you hold it in this situation. In general, it doesn't, but they told us to do it that way the other night. I don't know why. But anyway. Yeah. Now, you angle it up as if you're lining it with the window, but through your head. Right? Yeah, it's hard to see sometimes. It's like, oh, you know, what's going on there? I remember I adjusted your hands too. It helps a bit with if you're going to do bottles, right? If you play with a mirror so you can see what you're doing, like, you know, okay, where's my angle, right? What?
Point it at your chin. It's perfect line. With your hands go there. Straight and straight. Come on.
Okay, I'm going to try to feel it out anyway. But the idea is to make a direct line between the top of the bottle or the water, whatever you're aiming at, right? And your window. And then again, you inhale. And before you bring anything into the water, first, you get your line ready if it wants it. But then you do that little thing like I did with the chinchilla, where you gently push a bit of a sphere of the waters out with the intention, is it okay? Would you like to share this co-creation with me of healing? And see if you can sense the back vibration that the etheric will give you. If it feels like a positive, you can go ahead. And most water will not resist because it's been waiting for this for a long, long time. Is that you? I just got the water going at me. Get on with it already, will you? Okay. So, all right, let's inhale up and go right up to the door. And we're going to flow down with the current, just like a river coming down through, right through the bottle. You should be able to feel a bit of a vibration, almost a shake in your palms. And it's not your palms that are shaking, it's the etheric field of the water. Try to see all the little aqua sparks that are happening in the water. And you might, well, I just got the water, this one just said, another one, please. I just gotta thank you. Eventually you will be able to hear everything talk, by the way. All right? And it'll translate into your language with the elementals. I hear all sorts of interesting consciousness talk. It used to be a problem when we were in high school. We could hear the lockers talk, the molecules, right? And things, and it was a bit distracting. Okay, now, for the last thing with the waters for now, is with one hand on bottom, one hand on top. You're going to take the codes that you picked up that are in your palms, and you're going to blow the one on top down and the one on the bottom up, and meet them in the middle, and make a sphere around it of the waters as you do. So you got a stream coming down this way, stream coming this way, and the streams are coming through your arms, right, into your hands, and stream down this way, going up this way. And when the two codes hit, it'll make a big sphere around it, and it will actually create little spheres within the quark bands and the protons. Okay, that's really deep in the molecules. That's subatomic stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. So inhale and. Wait, gotta kick back on that one. And And that amount should have been sufficient for about 3 gallons, they said, as far as waters that, for your own personal use in that thing. We will get to the point where we can transmute what just went out, and I haven't done that before, the way they just showed to do that. There's now they're going metal. First it was like little tiny blue, aqua blue flecks all in it. And it is not like on the physical level yet. And they said it was going into the protons, the quarks that are inside the protons. That's small. It's subatomic. Then I noticed something happening though, and it's still. And it's not on the etheric level, though. I'm trying to see what level I'm seeing on, because I know when I see etheric, it looks a certain way. Oh, I'm seeing atomic at the moment? Oh, okay. There's little particles that I'm seeing, and it changed from the blue ones, and now there's like silver, little silvery sparkles. Now there's gold coming in. Oh, neat. And they all just kind of and flashed off and then back on together, and they all look like micro levels of these in gold. That was cool. What about?
Last night I described it as those little things with like little snow inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like those snowballs. What do you call those?
They're like little things inside of.
Yeah. The snow.
But they're not white.
No, the little globes, snow globes. Yeah, and especially those with the sparkly stuff in them. Yeah, it looks just like that, and I'm amazed I could see it on that level. I'm not used to looking into atoms. I can hear atoms, and I can have conversations with them, which is don't do that in public because people think you're really crazy. Right? But this is neat, and well, they said now if you would like, take a drink of the water and invite the healing of it into your body so it can start communicating with the other waters in your body, because there's levels of healing that have to take place. We've brought in the healing river, the crystal river really is what it is. And it'll probably taste the same, but, well, maybe it won't. I don't know.
I can tell you.
That's a good question. They said after the door is open too, which is the one where we get the elemental ion space opened as well, then it will hold indefinitely, unless it's submitted to certain types of radiation exposure, like don't sit it on top of the television for a month kind of stuff, those things. But for now, we've got, because of the shield amplification here, if you're doing it by yourself, you got about a 3-day charge with the level of activation in the field right now. With the group amplification, it gives us all about a week and a half, where it'll hold for about a week and a half. And your system will get stronger, so that number will go up. Once we've got all the windows open, it'll probably hold forever, if we're lucky, hopefully, and then we can start working on lakes and rivers and oceans and things. But I think that answers the question we got. On your own, it would be a 3-day charge, like when you're doing this right now. And then that will grow, and once you open the other thing, we don't have the technique for that yet. It has to settle in the system, they said this part. You can apply this to many things, by the way. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. You would do the same process if you want to help your body in healing, because your body will breathe. It will actually help. That was very good to bring that up. Yeah, because you can just stick them on your palms and then imbue them into the water in the bathtub, and then in it. Put your hands right in it. Yeah, and see millions of little ones go out. What these did is first they were what color were they? I remember the silver. They were the little blue, aqua color, and then they kind of went like this and went and popped off a little bit and popped back on, and they were like silver flakes, and then they went and did that and popped off again and came back on, and they were perfect little tiny micro versions of this in gold. So there's a process here, and I'm learning too. I'm so glad for this. That feels so good when that comes in. I'm hoping you enjoy this as much as I do. this is the best technique I've ever brought through, and I'm really grateful for it. And I hope that from here you go forth and prosper with that. Right? Thank you for being here.
This did about a gallon of water, so if you have a large tub, would you have to blow more into it?
You said
or how
it's
would
about
you-
3 gallons, actually.
Yeah, that would do about 3 gallons. This says. So if you have a larger, if you want to do your swimming pool, for example, it would be good to say if you ran this technique, right? That will give you a lot of amp power on it. You can go to the window anytime, but that will amp how much you can bring through if you run the technique. So if you want to do, once you get to a certain point, once that next one level is opened, then it won't be hot. You can stick your hands in, do 2 breaths, and you might even find that the plates on your hands are lasting for a week or a month, where they won't go away. They'll stay after a while. But for a while, until we get the next technique that actually opens the rest of the door and the rest of the things for the D1 level, we've got the D2 level now and the D3 connected, but we've got to still get the D2 and the D1 connected, and that will happen in the technologies for the next workshop. So for now, we have to pick them up manually, but then they'll just stay. Now we get to learn to stretch them. I know they stretch. I don't know what that means, but I can feel they're wanting to stretch, and I don't know. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this workshop, even though it's crazy hours. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a really safe trip home. I'll go a night-night now. And I think I covered everything I was supposed to, didn't I? At least close enough.
You did.
Good.
Sound fine job.